Oh,
they are.
oh hey, it's already going on. Hey,
organized tonight.
Whew. God, getting off to a good start there. Startling the host, or one of your hosts, one of three hosts. I am Clive Davis, also known as Pontius Pilot Light. Over there is
is that me, is it?
Yeah.
All right, I'm Mr. Darren Jones. Oh, Nick.
Look at that.
Well done. Well done. Well done. Well, I'm Mr. Darren Jones, also known as the Android Yessie. And down there is apparently a JYANGSHI.
It's a JYANGSHI Nick.
Yes, yes. I've got my post-it note of parking. This is the parking permit, I believe, is my understanding. So I'm parked here for the rest of the show. And
do you want to change your name?
No, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
We'll leave it for today.
Hold that up. So is that your talisman? Hold your talisman up again, because I want to see. Okay. Have you actually written anything that makes sense, or is it random?
It is copied from one I found online, but I've left the bottom piece off, so probably I've cursed myself in some way.
Well, I'm
so I was really stupid to attach it to my face just now.
The swirl in the middle isn't any sort of Chinese.
But apparently, according to, I read a little bit about these. I can't remember what they're called now, like foo papers or something like that. But they are, it's often a mixture of actual Chinese characters and more artistic nonsense, like almost automatic writing. So that's a piece of magic.
You've also got 3 trees at the bottom.
Clive, I promise you I can direct you to the website where I stole it from.
No, I'm not saying. It's interesting because normally when you get the 3 trees, they're usually placed together to make like forest or something, right? But you've got 3 separate trees.
Yeah, that's as I said, who knows? We should have done more research about what these are all about, I guess.
So you found one online and copied it?
Yes. To the best of my ability. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I'm on the case with that. Because I have purchased a book and started reading a book on Chinese Taoist magic.
Okay, perfect.
So
actually I should have used mine. I have that one that I've got as well that I didn't look to see if there was anything specific to the vampires.
What's the one you got called, Darren? Because we mentioned Nick's one before many episodes ago, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't remember. I think it's called something like Practical Chinese Magic. It's something generic like that.
Ah, isn't that film with Sandra Bullock and
that's it. Practical Chinese Magic. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting off to a rip-roaring start here.
So what's this show called then, Clive?
Well, it's still called YCHYFUS.
Yes.
But it's shall I explain? I'll do that. Shall I?
Please do.
Yeah. Why don't you explain to us and then the rest of the audience?
All right. Yes. Were we to have an audience, that would make sense. But I don't think much of anyone. What would you? I wouldn't.
Oh, I don't know. I think we might have some JYANGSHI fans crawl out the woodwork on this.
Yes, you never know. So JYANGSHI, or hopping vampires, I guess, as they're mostly on the West. So we'll get on to what hopping vampires are in a minute, for clarification. But basically, this is our YCHYFUS Halloween special for 2024 and 2025. Because the idea was, hey, why don't we do one hopping vampire a day for every one of the 31 days of October, which, as the more learned among you will know, is the month which includes Halloween. Now, at first we thought, well, I don't know if we'll be able to pull off such a feat. But not only were we able to come across 31 hopping vampire films, we were able to come up with over 60. So we're going to be doing this again next year for those of you who don't have enough. That's 62, a whopping 62 hopping vampire films. So this is part 1. And yes, but we're going to be recording it throughout the year in bits and pieces, aren't we?
Yes.
We're not watching 31.
We can't clear the entire month, sadly, of October.
Everything else, and then just
Yeah.
watch Hopping Vampires. And so we're going to be, so the way this is going to work is after this kind of inaugural introduction episode where we lay down the you know, how this is going to work. What's the word? Ground rules. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Ground rules? Yeah. Then we're just going to be recording, you know, no, just jump straight in, no intro, no messing, little review of each of the 31 films. And then come October, I'm probably going to stitch them together in sets of 7 or 8 and put up 4 weekly shows.
Yeah.
So after this protracted opening, and we talk about our opening film, after that, it's going to be straight in, no foreplay, no lube. It's going to hurt a little bit, but, you know, you'll warm up to it. And it'll be fun.
We'll make you like it.
Yes. Now Nick is regretting leaving his name on.
Yes. Yes, he is. Or being involved in this in any way, shape, or form.
So,
and now that we've lost, you know, anyone who had tuned in to listen to us talk about hopping vampires. I don't know. Maybe there's who knows, that Venn diagram. Maybe there's a bigger section in the middle of that Venn diagram.
I think we've gained viewers now. Yeah.
No, well, you think we'd have learned with all the other podcasts we do, where we do pull exactly the same shit at the start of every show.
The thing is, it's not
well, you know,
contrived. It's sadly what comes naturally.
It is what happens. Yes. Yeah. But I was in the remedial class at the School of Hard Knocks. It takes quite a while for me to cop on. So come back this time next year and see if I'm still surprised.
Yeah, because it might surprise the viewers that our shows aren't actually scripted at all.
No. Yes.
No, it's
But that's only because of the SAG strike, right? Before that, we had top notchest.
Oh yeah.
But sadly, as you can tell, we don't have it anymore.
Because we weren't even the writers for the first few YCHYFUS. You know, we had a writing room. You know, like Jerry Seinfeld was in there, and you know.
Is that why it wasn't funny?
That's exactly why.
that was the problem.
So anyway, what is a JYANGSHI? Who wants to answer that? Hands up.
And first of all, so Clive, you guys were already arguing online about this. So there's 2 pronunciations of this. There's a Japanese version and a Chinese version.
No, it wasn't an argument. It's just.
Oh, you wouldn't believe.
And if it was, I'd have won.
Oh, there we go. Anyway, so
now it's an argument.
I'm assuming there might even be a difference in the Mandarin and Cantonese, but I've only ever heard JYANGSHI.
Yeah, JYANGSHI is all I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Which I assume is Mandarin, and then just one of those ones that they didn't change, or naturally didn't change, or is the same. I don't know. But yeah, in Japan it's Kyonshi, right?
Okay.
It's the reading of it in Japanese. Yes. So now then, again, hands up. Who wants to answer the question? What? Yeah, Darren. Good boy. Yeah.
So what it is, right, is usually a man in Mandarin clothing, right, with a nice little hat on, with a feather in it, and
we should say, sorry, Mandarin as in Qing Dynasty official, not like a Satsuma or something like that.
No, he's not dressed as a citrus. No.
They got quite nice back prints on a lot of the
Yeah. So usually in Qing Dynasty garb, and they're corpses, and they are transported by Taoist priests, corpse herders, or various different terms, and they are usually transported from where they died to where they're going to be buried, or to their families. And this apparently originates in a real thing. And so anyways, the Taoist priest stands them all up.
I'm fond of the occupational phrase corpse wrangler myself.
Corpse wrangler's good. It is good. Well, any wrangler is a good.
This is true.
It's like wrangler. Well, it's wrangler's good, but it's not as good as monger. But it's not a corpse monger, because otherwise he'd be selling corpses.
Yeah.
But yeah, corpse wrangler's good. So anyway, so the dead are stood up. You hire it if your relative who's died has died away from home, you have to hire a Taoist priest to ferry them home. And this is done by essentially animating the corpse through the use of Taoist talismans, and then they hop on home, and you basically lead them home if you're the Taoist priest.
Yeah. For some reason, you don't animate them to walk normally.
No.
They have to hop.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, according to Wikipedia, anyway.
Oh, okay. Well.
I don't know if anyone else...
Be true.
Yeah, so, but it actually kind of makes sense. So apparently it was quite difficult to organise mass transit of coffins back in the day. So apparently what they used to do is they used to have a wagon with two kind of vertical bars, or two horizontal bars, I should say. And then they used to stick the corpses, so they basically tie the corpses onto the back of this these kind of two horizontal bars. And as presumably there was a man behind or another horse behind. And as they travelled along, the undulations of the road would used to make this kind of line of corpses hop.
Okay.
So apparently that's the origin of the hopping vampire.
Right, that's, yes, someone saw that at some point late at night.
Yeah.
And misremembered it or misreported it or was misheard as there was some hopping. Yeah, it is one of those fascinating bits of folklore where you wonder yeah, where the kind of origin point for it is really, because the other thing is as well, in terms of the cinematic adaptations, is why the Qing dynasty garb, right? And some people think that that's like a bit of pointed anti-Qing satire, right? Because they would have come in and sucked the blood of the loyalists, and so sorry, Ming, I mean, not Qing. So no, hang on, no, I'm getting my Qings and my Mings.
No, I think it is.
Hang on, that doesn't make sense.
There's an alarm going off in my place. I'm just going to go turn it off. Continue.
What did you say?
There's an alarm going off. I got to turn it off.
Oh. Or leave the house because it's on fire.
No, it's not a fire alarm.
Yes. I mean, I would respect your devotion to the podcast that you would stay there
as the room is yes, I could be the "this is fine" dog meme for the next generation.
The what?
Clive's not going to understand that.
Of course he's not.
Don't
throw memes that are 10 to 15 years old at Clive.
Fine dog meme.
Yes.
Look what you did. Look what you've done.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You know what he means.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'll ask later when we're finished. Let me write it down.
It's really not worth your time. Okay.
Me.
So I have a question, and that is, you just brought up the idea of them as like metaphorical vampires in a political context. However, in the 4 films I've seen so far, and admittedly I haven't seen any other than these 4. Right, this is all new to me, brand new to me. Other than friends telling me like 20 years ago, "Oh, you should watch some hopping vampire films," and me. So sorry, just have you
not seen Mr. Vampire then?
No.
Oh,
no.
That'll be very interesting.
So I'm literally watching them as anyone else who watched them as
yeah. Right? Well, so encounters of the spooky kind is important, and we're not doing spooky encounters, are we? Or rather, encounters.
No, we're not, because we already did it on a Khafur.
Okay, so I'll watch that on my own Steam then.
Yeah.
Just tell me when I should, like, what is it all? Because is it 1980 as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
I'll try to
probably watch it now.
I'll watch
yeah.
it now.
Yeah.
I'll watch it now.
After your
Yeah, yeah.
house is burnt down.
Yes.
You
yeah.
finish this. Yeah.
Yeah, you will not regret watching Encounters of the Spooky
Okay.
Ground. Yeah.
Right,
So the
and then
question
you
is,
can, then you can listen to, it wasn't us, it was actually me and Ron who did it.
Yeah, it was you.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'll do
you
that.
denied me the opportunity to gush on Samuel's monkey style.
Well, I mean,
That sounds revolting.
you could do that with young Nick there as a little, like a bonus kind of. I mean, we probably should talk about it a bit. Let's talk about it
we
next
can do
time.
that. Yeah.
Let's talk about it
Okay.
next time.
Yeah.
Let's
And
take it in. Okay,
I might rewatch it again as well, just to join in.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can. I think we would be remiss. It would be unbalanced for it not to come out, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
So
write
the
that
question
down as
is-
well. Next to
Okay.
find dog meme. You carry on.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is this.
He's just written down find dog meme.
Yes, yeah. Which is, there's literally tens of billions of those, but
No, I said fine. Didn't you say fine?
fine. Yes, it's fine. FINE.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, good. So in one of these earlier films, to me, I don't know which order they come out in. But in any case, they refer to them.
Fine. Oh, sorry.
They refer to them as zombies, which makes much more sense to me. And so what I'm wondering is why the term vampires, and do they become vampires as these films go on, as they're adapted, or are they always going to be zombies?
I usually perceive them as more zombie-like than vampire-like. They tend not to suck the life force out or any of that stuff.
But they do sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes they're bloodsuckers as well. And then, so interestingly, this is the thing that I'm hoping we might clarify a little bit as we go along and we see a different variety of them. Because this is the thing that struck me this time watching it as well, when we're watching these first couple, where they're not really, they're not vampires at all. Like you said, they are just reanimated corpses. So I do wonder where the vampire thing came in. And also, if they're just dead people who need transporting to another place, as in our first film here, for example, when do they become a menace and why? Like, they're just dead, right? Nothing's happened to them.
Yeah.
Nothing to turn them malevolent.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the first one, they're not particular. I mean, they freak people out, obviously, because they're jumping corpses, but they're not actually in any way, predatory or evil or supernatural beyond being reanimated corpses. So, so these are all questions that I'm
when they're threatening in these movies, it's because it's been done as a prank almost. It's when people have attached the yellow paper to somebody's back to kind of interfere with them, but there's no sense that the zombies are actually going to be able to do much of anything. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, and hopefully, after 31 days we'll have a really good idea. But my kind of working theory is that the whole blood-sucking, life-sucking malarkey is an influence from the West and Western cinema. And the JYANGSHI are just hopping corpses, because if we're looking at, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but if we're looking at the first few films that we're doing now, as you said, Nick, they aren't the threat of the film, right, or of any of the films. They're a simple, but also they're a fact of life, right? So they're just part of the furniture.
Oh yeah,
that is used and abused to forward the plot. So they're not, as you said, Clive, they're not malevolent. They're just they're just animated for transport.
They're more like a city bus that you could just hop onto if you need to. Not have everybody know that you're on the move.
Yeah. Congratulations, Nick. Worst analogy of the show thus far. So
perfect.
But it is an interesting point, because it also feels, the other thing that interests me, there's two things of context here we should talk about. They're almost like bookends in a way. So we've mentioned Mr. Vampire, Mr. Vampire, and Mr. Vampire 1985 is the big hit popularizer, right? And the thing is, if these films had appeared after Mr. Vampire, it would kind of make more sense, right? Because there's something, it's a huge hit, and then all these other films make reference to it, right? But what's interesting about these is they're proto Mr. Vampire films that use hopping vampires in a way that they're already, commonly referred and known to a commodity in, a trope. And then not yet. It's kind of weird. It's kind of, so it's interesting to think this and the next batch we're going to talk about. Oh, hang on, no. It'll all be together in one, won't it? I knew this would get confusing. Anyway, this lot we're talking about this week, I think that they're all proto Mr. Vampire films, but they kind of behave in a way as if the progenitors already. And then the other, and on the other side, the other one that we're not talking about, because they're not hopping vampires, but I think they're important to the discussion, especially because you were saying about the influence of the West. There's the one film we're not talking about here is Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, the Shaw brothers, which didn't have any hopping vampires, right? I'm not remembering.
No. They're just generic undead and newly invented Chinese vampires, weren't they?
Yes, but I'm wondering if maybe that is important in all this.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
When does that come out?
That's 73, I think.
73 or 4.
Before any of these that we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the other thing, if we're going to talk about hopping vampires being part of the furniture and why they're not malevolent, usually, or they're certainly not malevolent in the first 4 films we're discussing, is, I suppose, having, and I haven't read a lot of Chinese folklore mythology, but what I have read, those functions are kind of taken up by another set of supernatural beings. So I'm thinking things like fox spirits and ghosts that drain the yang energy from men. They're kind of the succubus kind of spirits.
Succubus, not Sittybus, Nick.
Not
Sittybus.
Much better analogy.
There you go.
You got confused, didn't you?
That's what it was.
Yeah. Subtitle of the episode: Nick catches a bus on a YCHYFUS.
Nick on the buses.
That's it.
I
But I think there's something to that. I think that probably there isn't a spirit sucking, blood sucking, malevolent vampire until either possibly, quite right, Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, or possibly later into the 80s when there's more influence from Hollywood.
But then again, if we think back to when we watch things like Enchanting Shadow, isn't in the end, isn't the ghoul in that a blood-sucking vampire like entity as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but she's not undead, is she?
Well, she's not very alive.
Yeah, but she's like a demon, isn't she? So I think there's a distinction.
Yes.
So
okay. Yeah, we want to
rather
be,
than
on the one hand, we want to be specific, but on the other hand, we are splitting hairs, right? But I mean hairs, not that.
Yeah, Jesus.
No.
Stop referring to that fucking movie. I have was Rick Moranis in that? But
he was, yeah.
I have oh fuck, you made me lose it. I had a question. Oh yes, do we know? And I think I might know this because I think I did a little bit of reading. There are films that are lost that have vampire in the title.
Yes,
and so that's a bit of a question mark.
And there is at least one earlier hopping vampire film as well, which is not extant, right? But again, because there's so much bullshit online, I hazard to say for sure without seeing it with my own eyes.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, I think we managed to obfuscate even more than that was the worst.
Illuminate. Yes. That's really the goal here, I think.
That was one of the worst attempts at contextualizing I think we've ever done. Hope you all
Congratulations,
enjoyed it
people.
out
But
there.
we did manage to shoehorn buses in at least
We
twice.
did.
Right, this is true. This is true.
So, you know, there's some measure of success in that.
Yeah, public transport. It's important to,
It is.
in this
Yes.
time of climate crisis, you know.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess we'll get stuck in then with our first film.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about 1977's The Shaolin Brothers, aka Shaolin Magnificent Armor, aka The Legend of Living Corpse. And this is a Taiwanese film, right?
Yeah.
And
Directed
it's
by who?
also a Joseph Kuo joint,
Yes.
who we spoke of. Why did we talk about? Was it? It was just JYANGSHI, right? When we did 18.
Yeah, we spoke about it earlier in the year.
Yes.
Yes,
Much
that's right.
earlier in the year.
Well done, Darren. Yes, there we go.
Definitely not last week.
Yes.
No. That would be totally
That was
other one.
Bronze Men 1 and 2. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why we get to see another furious Carter Wong, pissed off again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's the best thing in here, but I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, no, actually, I think Fan Ling is doing a pretty good job in this.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So this one, I'm kind of struggling to dredge up my memory now. But if anyone else wants to jump in and can do the plot,
I can do that.
If
you
go
want.
on,
I've got a reasonable memory of it. So, so Carter Wong is some sort of nobleman, general, warlord kind of character. And actually it starts with this really good because I watched the dubbed version. Did you both watched?
Yeah, I watched the dubbed one from YouTube.
Yeah. So the prelude says, in the past, corpses were marched to their burial place. Some Qing loyalists used this to escape the Ming, sorry. I'm getting confused now. So anyway, Carter Wong's having fights. Sorry, my hang on. Whoa.
So Carter Wong's the bad guy.
Carter Wong is the baddie, and he's like a general kind of warlord character.
And he has poison needles. That's his weapon of choice.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And early on in the film, he poisons Tung Li.
Yeah, he wants him to join him, basically. They're old Shaolin buddies.
They're old Shaolin brothers.
They used to go to the Shaolin tuck shop together and stuff. And now they've grown apart. And and he wants him to join him, and he's like, no, fuck you, I'm not joining you. You're a traitor.
Yeah. And he gets poisoned for the whole film.
Yes, he's got like 9 days to live like that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Except it's not like a good film like that Jason Statham one where he's poisoned.
Yeah, it's not Crank. Yeah.
That's it, which I haven't seen. But
which is that is worth seeing.
Tung Li, who was in we spoke of when we me and Darren talked of Devil Woman in our last Halloween special. In fact.
That's right. Yes, indeed.
So he's our Halloween, isn't it? He's our Halloween regular. Is that Spooky Tung Li?
Spooky Tung Li. So anyway, so he gets poisoned, and then it sort of the plot kind of shifts to this kind of ragtag, or kind of two ragtag groups of rebels, who are kind of being pursued, but also trying to disrupt the the kind of the order and the government. And a little way into the film, they decide to smuggle themselves in and out the city via pretending to be Jiangshi, or pretending to be corpses for corpse herders, which includes Fan Ling as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
3 of them are bandits. 3 of them are just straight up thieves, right? And then a couple of them are actual
Yeah,
you know.
well, they're kind of bad. Yeah, but there's not a lot of distinction made between the two groups, is there? Because they
No,
all
but
kind of team up in the end for no good reason.
yes, but the
Yeah.
bandit guys are definitely a bit more comic reliefy. They're not
Yeah,
as
yeah.
stalwart.
Yeah.
And then there's the one
Yeah.
guy who you think like that that has to be a fake belly, and then it does
Yeah.
pay off.
Our
It does pay off,
protagonists,
yes.
let's say, are Tung Li and Fan Ling, right? Those are our
Mm.
and then these other people are, yeah, they're just for color and comic relief and
Yeah.
nonsense.
There's quite
Yeah.
a bit of goofiness in this, to be honest. Like one of the very first fight scenes, a bunch of guys in like leopard print togas run in, wielding weapons that look like they're made of paper mache, like out of a Guar concert. And I was like, wait a second. Like,
I did like
Yeah.
what the
he's
fuck's
holding
going
like
on here?
these. They're like too huge. They look like maces, don't they? Like
Yes,
really
but they're
Yeah, yeah.
massively out
The
of scale.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
In
are
fact,
big,
there's a few moments of this that reminded me almost of the look of like a 1980s Japanese like stand-up arcade game. Like something about the
Yeah.
costume of the characters and these massive, goofy looking weapons.
Yeah.
It's a weird
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a few little skirmishes, aren't there? But I think that the kind of the meat, there's two kind of meat and gravy bits to this film, isn't there? There's the Jiangshi bit, so there's the spooky bit, where you're not actually sure at this point because you meet the characters very early on, and then they're defeated by Carter Wong. So Fan
Yes.
Ling and I want to say David Tung Wai. Oh, I could have that wrong. Yeah, David Tung Wai. Both get defeated by Carter Wong, and you think they might be dead. And then their corpses are being transported. And then there's all sorts of little skits, like in an inn where, I think it's Fan Ling is, they're meant to be in the stable, but Fan Ling comes in and nicks all the buns from under the table and all that business. Yeah.
Yes. And there's the kind of the more serious older Taoist priest, and then he's got this kind of Chris Farley-esque pratfalling, chubbier sidekick guy who does all of the kind of gurning, who is the same actor then shows up in one of the other films playing a very similar role, guy of heavyset guy who gets easily catatonic from seeing vampires.
Ko Xiao Po, I think that is.
Yeah.
And to be fair, the spooky bits are pretty fucking good actually, because at this point you're not sure, are you? Especially the Fan Ling bits. So where she's in like the Ching gear, and then all of a sudden she rips off the Ching gear, and then she's like this white ghost doing superhuman flips and almost flying around on wires. That's pretty good.
And when she's got the long black hair, it's almost like a kung fu Ringu. Right? Like she's quite effective. But I thought so, all the use of slow motion in this, what is often kind of can seem or just is risible in some of these films, somehow like this image of like these people hopping in slow motion with the right soundtrack, it almost becomes like a spastic jerk of like a reanimated something quite unsettling about it.
Yeah, because in this one it's like slow-mo with like theremin music, isn't it? It's like that.
The soundtrack is really effective.
Yeah.
Well, all four of these, I was thinking collectively as well, all four of these are quite interesting to consider, that none of them, even though, like you said, bits and pieces are right, none of them really do what Mr. Vampire later did. And it's interesting to note that, yes, it does have the potential, but like you said, if you fudge it, it's just some people in makeup hopping about in a very silly fashion until you just get the fine tuning right. And then obviously that's what Mr. Vampire did when we get to it, right? Is it finally got the formula down right, and it knew exactly how to portray them, and it set certain rules in play as well. Like, because we don't know what the rules are yet in these films, really. Like, there's talismans on them, and they come on and off, but we don't. There's no real hard and fast rules. Like, we don't understand that when the talisman is off, that it's dangerous, and when the talisman is on, it's safe, and oh, you can't breathe. None of that is in there, right? So, and I think that's the problem with all these first, even though, you know, not all of them, well, none of them are really full on hopping vampire films, so they don't have to have it. But because you don't have the rules in play, then the viewer can't play, right? The viewer can't join in. That's the great thing about all like monster movies, right? Is if you know the rules, then that's fun to kind of watch along and play along. And these four aren't doing that yet, right? Oh, sorry, Seven Night or whatever the fuck we're talking about this in October 2024.
That's it. That's right. Yes.
Cold outside for October.
Oh, it's freezing. Yeah.
Almost like
you can tell the winter's coming.
Yeah, it's on the way.
Yeah, we're nearly in winter. Yeah.
One thing that's kind of funny to me is that in this one, like our head Taoist makes a big deal about the fact that like, oh, I can't, you know, I need 6. Has to be 6 that I take with me, and there's some kind of weird conversation that sounds like it could be sketchy. Like, oh, you just need 2. If I get you 2 more, can we leave tomorrow morning? And he's like, well, yes, and no questions asked about where they're going to come from. But in every movie after this, we've seen at least 6. Whereas at one point he's asked directly, like, oh, don't you guys always, you know, herd 1? You know,
well, there's no economic imperative for that.
Well, you would think that this seems strange. You would want to maximize.
Interesting that you bring it up. I think we're still waiting, unless we come across it somewhere in this bunch. Maybe we're still awaiting the ultimate Burke and Hare hopping vampire crossover film.
Right.
No, you've lost me on that.
Well, because he was saying, "Oh, can we just can we dig up another 2 corpses from somewhere, like out of nowhere?"
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes. Yeah. So if Dr. Knox was, you know,
but maybe once you bury,
bodies transported to Scotland so he could do experiments on them.
No. Hang on. No, I'm going to ruin this, and I'm going to ruin this in the most nerdy, annoying way ever.
Okay.
With my logic. So I am presuming that that the reason you can animate the corpse is because it hasn't been buried yet and its soul hasn't been released. But if you, as soon as it's gone in the grave, then presumably its soul has been released. Therefore, digging up corpses won't actually animate.
Yeah, you're quite right. That was quite annoying and nerdy and
sorry. I couldn't resist.
Well, no. I mean, fair play. It was advertised as advertised.
Sorry, Clive.
That's right.
Anyway, so anyone want to do a dick joke after that? Or?
So it's all right. It's not particularly great, especially considering it is Joseph Koh, right? It is a Honghua scope. Hong Kong Movie Database has it as a Hong Kong production shot in Taiwan, but I think it's Taiwanese.
It's all Taiwan. It's all Taiwan. Yeah.
And the same year as this, you know, he directs like the 7 Grandmasters, for example.
Yeah, and they're fucking chalk and cheese. You know, although I would say the YU work's not bad.
Yeah,
it's 77. The YU work's pretty good.
Yeah.
This is Huang Fei Long, who was credited with the choreography. He also did some of his own things like Deadly Strike and Crazy Guy with Super Kung Fu.
Yeah.
He's going to be directing his own things soon. The other thing I dug up, so Joseph Koh, I keep forgetting, because I always think of this period of time as, you know, it's Koh time, right? Like it's Hammer time, but with tighter trousers. But looking it up, he'd been directing since like the late 50s. So he'd been knocking about quite a bit. And the other credit of his from the same year as this, I never heard of before. I looked it up, it looked kind of interesting. He made a film called The Mad, the Mean and the Deadly.
Yeah.
AKA VIP in Indonesia. With Michael Chan Wyman and Kurata, which seems to be a bit of a rarity. I would like to say.
Well, Chan Wyman
and
Kurata is a must.
And Joseph Koh.
Well, yeah.
So Yeah, so it's nowhere near as exciting as if you heard, hey, did you know there's a proto Mr. Vampire, Hopping Vampire directed by Joseph Koh? You'd be, like that in that very camp fashion I just did.
Yes.
But it turns out, no, it is, it's all right. It's all right.
It's pretty average.
Yeah.
If I'm honest. I mean, the only reason to watch this film is for the spooky bits in the middle, in my opinion. The kung fu choreography is okay. It's not spectacular. The fights aren't particularly imaginative. So I don't think you're going to get any sort of kung fu head, cream in their pants on this one. The spooky bits are quite cool. So that's a really nice novelty. And I do quite like the finale. I do quite like the reasonably downbeat way that this film ends.
I enjoy that. Yeah, how that all goes down. I think it's quite cool.
Yeah, are we giving spoilers on this? Because I know before we came on air, I gave a massive spoiler to both my compatriots.
We'll avoid spoilers if necessary, if we can. But if it's necessary to do one, we'll do one as long as
let's say Carter Wong gets dispatched in quite a novel and noble, but also quite downbeat way.
Yes. Although he also right before that,
Darren, because I was just about to say that it really reminded me of that fine dog meme that's doing the round. Yes,
indeed. Well, that actually kind of does, because that was one thing that.
But I wouldn't have said it unless we were talking about it.
Of course. Yeah, I did like that part where quite at the end he just pulls out like a flask of what looks like gasoline and just throws it on Carter Wong and then sets fire to him.
Yeah, that was cool.
That seemed quite harsh. It was like, here's my secret weapon, splash, and then
but doesn't kill him.
But doesn't kill him. No, because then.
Because he is the unstoppable sex machine, as we know.
He is Carter Wong. I think the other thing that I have a soft spot for this because it's one of the first hopping vampire films I've seen, and it does do that stuff. I think maybe better than any of these four. I think just the pure creepiness of the concept comes across, and then just the weirdness, the silliness, the the Three Stooges-ness of some of the fights in here, the roustabout, knockabout, just stupid. I enjoyed the stupid, and then yet also having some very effective, and then some of the fights are all right.
I think it's worth because, like as you said, you're a little bit newer to this territory of stuff. So if you hadn't seen much like it, it would probably be more entertaining because you haven't seen these tropes or things like. And in general, I think as well, outside of hopping, just in general, kung fu cinema, because you're still kind of getting into kung fu cinema. I think the overall foolishness that is in a lot of them is still kind of fresh for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas not that it's played out, we can still get on with it. But we're slightly more used to it because we've been watching this nonsense for years, right? But
anyway, so I might have gotten along with this a little bit better than the two of you.
Well, also it's the second time for me watching it, so it's also not a film that necessarily stands up to repeated viewings. I think one and done with. Had you seen it before, Donna?
No, I hadn't. But I'm not going to watch it again either.
Right.
I'm done. I like the spooky bits, but if you took the spooky bits out of it, it would be a really average.
It would be pretty subpar to barely par.
It'd be really. I mean, average is the best I could do for it.
Oh,
and
so
that's probably only in deference to Joseph Koh.
This does have a great Igor in it, though, which none of the others really have. Like, there's one dude. There's not just the Taoist master and his bumbling sidekick guy, but there's another properly dude who shows up once or twice. I'm like, who is that guy?
That was alarmingly good,
Yeah.
Nick. You've done that before, haven't you?
That was good.
I spent a lot of time. Yes.
It's like Marty Feldman was in the room. Yeah, but no, I think it's worth a watch, but I wouldn't watch it first if this is a genre that you want to get into. Which actually is this the first one you watched, Nick?
It certainly is. Actually, no, it really isn't. I probably watched Red. I think I watched Red Shaolin Master first.
Shaolin Red Master, which has got hardly any hopping vampires in it.
Yes, barely any. So maybe the fact that this had some in it made in my estimation.
Yeah. So when Clyde comes back, I want to. Oh, there he is. So this, I think, is probably a good juncture to bring up the trope that runs through all of these films, which is the rebels disguising themselves as Jiangshi.
Thing.
Yeah, because are there any actual Jiangshi in this film?
Not in this film.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Well, yeah,
are any of them actually dead?
Yeah, done it. Yeah, possibly.
Okay.
But this is something that runs through. It runs through this. It runs through shadow boxing. Well, all the films actually. I mean, in Carry On Wise Guy, they are actually dead people in it.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's and well, maybe Shaolin Red Master, but this is this is something that runs through the whole film, and it's interesting. We can't say that this is where this starts in cinema because there are other films that we don't know about that we can't get hold of. Yeah. But I was trying to find a story, I'm trying to find the kind of origin of
the ear text.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to find, well, not even a text really, just a story, just a reference to apparently some rebels disguised themselves as corpses and strapped themselves to a cart and and managed to escape or infiltrate or whatever. But I couldn't find it. But there has to be something that this is riffing off of. There has to be a story, a comic, or a historical event where this happened.
Or all these other films are just copying this one.
Well, how popular was this film, though?
Well, that's the thing. We have no idea. It could have been pretty popular.
Yeah.
And also, considering it's a Joseph Core joint as well, I mean, there's a good chance that at least industry people might have... Because, like Toby was telling us before when we were talking Robert Ty and Ninja Final Duel and stuff like that, he was saying, well, a lot of the stuff in there, they just did it to show the industry, like what they do, and they weren't really that concerned about necessarily, people at large. They just wanted to show off, look what we can do. Right? So
no, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, my instinct says that Shaolin Brothers is not the text.
Oh no, I see what you're saying, and I tend to side. If I was a betting man, I would tend to side with it. But I'm just saying that is also a possibility because you do get into that with in general. Because the other thing, when we get to we won't be talking about the films in this, but the other thing with Mr. Vampire is as well. Not only does it popularize the hopping vampire stuff, but also it gives Lam Ching-ying this entire career of playing a Taoist priest and doing all sorts of weird magic and stuff. And that's the thing with those films as well, is there's so much variety of spells and magic, and you're never sure, are they dipping into like a really rich old folklore, or they're just making shit up because it looks cool?
Yeah. And, well, we discussed that with Magic Cop, didn't we? I think. Yeah.
Both are equally, I can believe both, right? I wouldn't be surprised. Way, or kind of
I mean, my gut tells me there's a real story about real rebels that disguised themselves as corpses and got strapped to a wagon and got into a city and infiltrated it. Yeah, that's what my gut tells me. But I just wish I could have found something.
Was Trojan Hearse better?
Nice, I like that.
City Bus then.
I like that.
All right.
Don't worry, I'll go back and re-edit it and dump you in saying Trojan horse and hot hero every time we mention.
Please do.
Yes.
Yeah. No. I think this first 7 or 8 that we're doing
Yes.
needs to be the Trojan horse
The Trojan horse.
edition.
Okay.
In honor
right.
of Nick's amazing pun.
Come on now, lads. Let's pick up the speed. This is going to be take all day. Right.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Shaolin
so
Red
what's
Master,
next?
is it?
No shadow boxing next.
Oh, shadow boxing. Yeah.
AKA Spiritual Boxer Part 2, and we're in Shaw Brothers territory again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Granny's frosted porch door.
If only I had some frosted glass to hold up.
Hold up.
That's it.
I'm gonna have to purchase some for future shows, I think.
Yeah, it's worth it, isn't it? It would be worth it.
Come on, you're the guy with access to building material.
Glass is not a
Frosted
building
glass?
material. Yeah, I might be
Well,
able to
it
get
is.
some, I don't know.
If you
Well,
build
might
a
be.
door in it, made of frosted glass.
I might be able to get some frosted glass.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I got rid of a fridge that had some broken frosted glass in it.
Fuck.
As like a shelf. I could have used that.
Darren, did it not occur to you?
Not at the time, no.
Don't worry, that
No.
fridge is now sitting safely on a landfill somewhere, so small children can climb in and get locked
That's it.
inside. Yeah.
Yeah, or Indiana Jones can save himself from a nuclear bomb.
Yes, he's not a very good example, is he? Think of
No.
all the other children who died because of
Exactly.
Indiana Jones.
Yes. So Lau Ka Leung's magnum opus, the shadow boxing.
Oh, we're not talking about this one then.
What? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's doing this one then? Yeah.
Okay. Once again, Nick, do you want to maybe have a run at
No, because I can't find where my notes are. So
Oh, okay then.
Start.
Don't ask me because I'm gonna rip the shit out of it.
No,
I'm
it's
not
just a
really.
matter
Actually. It's
of
all right.
it's a matter. Yeah, no, it's not terrible. I'm just trying to remember the specific ins and outs of the plot. And that.
Okay.
Well,
I do have.
Yeah.
I found my notes.
Okay, here we go.
I don't know how good. So what I do like about this one is it begins with a kind of like a disclaimer that basically says like, corpse herding, is a thing.
Well, it's very similar to the setup of the previous one, which is what I was wondering if it was actually copying it.
Yeah.
Right. But it's interesting because they really put it out there like we're not endorsing this. It was like it's like that
It's
that
just
Ripley's
Poe's
bullshit.
fault, they said.
Yeah, like I know. It reminded me of that. Was the Loch Ness Monster Jack the Ripper bit from whatever the fuck
Right.
that movie is?
Amazon Women on the Moon.
Henry Silva doing a really spot on Jack Palance because they're the same person anyway. But anyway, yeah. So there is a bit of like bullshit or not,
Right.
which is like I don't know if that's kind of generally speaking. Now I know this would have been in Hong Kong, but how did the Chinese government take all of this stuff, this magical sort of folklore religious sort of stuff in movies?
Well, I think nowadays it's fine. You could probably make a hopping vampire film in mainland China as long as it turns out to be a hallucination or a mental deficiency or something at the end.
Okay.
As long as it's not supernatural.
Okay.
You're all right.
So anyway, this one's about a young guy who works for like a gambling corpse herder, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. It's coming back to me now. Yes, Wong Yu, right? Yeah, he works for Lau Ka Leung. Yeah, who is Lau Ka Leung's brother, and we'll get more to we'll talk more of the Lau brothers.
Oh, quite right.
On, right?
Yeah.
And he's learned a bunch of vampire-related kung fu, which he can only use when people shout out the names of the moves to him.
Yeah.
Right.
And
we should mention that just again for context. So, we'll get. I want to mention it first because it seems wrong. Because we'll get to it more detail later. But we should talk about the Lau brothers, right? So I guess the most famous one being Lau Ka Leung, right?
Yeah.
The director here, and then the Lau Ka Wing is his brother, and in the film is Gordon Liu Xiaohui, who's their adopted brother, right? From what I understand,
yeah.
he studied
Yeah.
with their father Lam Chun, and Lam Chun is this is the Wong Fei Hung.
Yeah, so
descendant of Wong Fei Hung.
Lam Chun is down from Lam Sai Wing, who's down from Wong Fei Hung.
Oh,
And
that's
Lam
right,
Sai
the
Wing
picture
is
wing. Yeah. Right. So there's
Look how glazed over Nick Sizer.
No, I'm just making sure. I'm just going to my open tabs here for where I have this film. Yeah, okay.
So
No, I promise you, I'm paying attention.
Lau Ka Lang, Lau Ka Wing, and Gordon Liu Hui here. The one who's missing, who we'll talk about later when we get to Kayong Wise guy, is Lau Ka Yung, right? That's the
Young,
one.
yeah.
He's not here, but so it's interesting because obviously Lau Ka Lang's, or aka Liu Lang, we talked about before. He's like the major kind of, he's the one that everyone talks about, right? Because he made fantastic films as a director all the way up until, I mean, even the last Drunken Monkey, right? Even that one's worth. He didn't really lose it in the way that other people seem to past his peak. I mean, he's got some duds here and there. There's no doubt about that. But you're usually in for a good time with a Lau Ka Lang film, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that he did lose it, actually, but that's
here and there. But we'll get
we'll get to that in the comments.
Yes. But it's worth mentioning that Lau Ka Wing as well. So around the same time as this, he directs Dirty Kung Fu, right? For example, which will begin and works on Dirty Tiger, Crazy Frog.
Yeah.
Well, so it's just sometimes it's I think people think of the Lau Ka Lang canon, but it's interesting that there's all this stuff going on around it, and no doubt he was, even if he's not, always officially involved, I'm pretty sure Lau Ka Lang is around all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
So the other one, the other one, Gordon Liu as well. So he plays, well, it turns out, again, spoilers, he's one of these rebels disguised as a hopping vampire who Lau Ka Wing and Wong Yu and Cecilia Wong, right, of who played Wing Chun in Stranger from Shaolin years before Michelle Yeoh played the role. And their master, Lau Ka Wing, got so he's in gambling problems, and then there's Lee Hoi San, Wilson Tong, and Wilson Tong, who assisted doing the choreography, and Norman Choi. They're kind of like corrupt lawmen, right? And it turns out that Gordon Louis is actually innocent, and he's been scapegoated, and he's trying to escape by pretending to be a hopping vampire, and that's the main story beats, right?
Yeah, and he's a master of Eagle Claw.
Right.
Yes.
And what we were saying earlier as well, that I'm not sure if the corpses in this one are particularly nasty or violent, or they're not vampires or anything. They're just
they're just corpses.
They're just corpses.
Yeah,
but they're also definitely animated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
they're
there's
definitely
also one other strange thing, which I feel, I don't think it was me misunderstanding. It was more something, sometimes films kind of raise ideas and then they fail to follow through with them. I think it was too much of a coincidence. So Wong Yu also does Kung Fu, but he seems to only be able to do really good Kung Fu when Lau Ka Wing tells him, do that.
When he yells.
Yeah,
yes.
But even more than that, every now and again he lays his hands on him as well. And it was all, I suspect this film started life as, the concept was, because as Lau Ka Wing is the corpse herder, the corpse wrangler, I feel he's supposed to be almost manipulating Wong Yu like a puppet.
Yeah.
But that kind of got lost along the way, and it ends up he just shouts things and he does them, as opposed to manipulating physically.
I mean, that kind of makes sense, because not long after this, you've got Legendary Weapons of China, where you've got exactly that happening, but in a much more cynical, grounded context.
Yeah, well, and also just more fully fleshed out and properly. This is just the vague idea of it, isn't it? Somehow they haven't managed to follow through with it.
They avoided a really nice Sixth Sense type of ending then, when he realizes that he was a zombie himself all along, or like Blade Runner, you know. Lots of spit in this movie. Everything involving zombie take, like it's like you hawk big fucking loogies into their foreheads and stick papers to them. He combs his hair right at the beginning. He's like shirtlessly combing this zombie's hair by spitting on the two combs. I just
you're gonna need to get used to that over the next
there's gonna be lots of spit.
films. Yeah.
Okay.
That's gonna be
all pre-COVID then, I'm guessing.
Yeah, this is gonna be a regular feature.
Nick's just upset there aren't more hopping vampire women.
Well, there's a few in these films, but yeah, they don't seem to get hopped in the face quite so much.
Right, not enough for you to go get more than a semi.
Indeed. Yeah, so what else is there to say about this?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of
shenanigans. Take your name off there, Nick. You're all right.
Oh yeah. You could just digitally scrub it out.
Why don't you put a bit of masking tape on the screen though? Oh.
Yeah. I mean, it does, and to be fair, the inn scene, there is some credence to your theory that this is ripping off Joseph Quo. The same, almost beat for beat. Gordon Liu rests at, the corpses rest at an inn, and then Gordon Liu goes in under the table and starts stealing buns.
Yeah.
Right? Although I think this time's a chicken, but
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, there's definitely credence to that. But there's a lot of kind of this sort of nonsense.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's an awful lot of bun thievery in general, isn't there?
Yeah. But also, like, I put the talisman on the wrong place, or I've lost the corpses again, or
it's difficult to do that, but do you know the music I'm trying to do?
I know. Yeah. I mean, it does kick into a higher gear at the end when Gordon Liu starts putting
that's
finger holes in people's faces.
Hey, but Norman, he really gives him a.
It's funny, isn't it? It's the way I think of this film is, in a way, what drags you or what makes you interested is because it's this proto Mr. Vampire, hopping vampire film. But actually, when it gets really good is when it just turns into a normal kung fu film.
Yeah.
That's when it excels, really. The spooky stuff is neither here nor there for me in this. And then it really starts to rev up, like you said, when Gordon Liu stops pretending to be a vampire and is just Gordon Liu. And then it's pretty kick-ass. And to be fair, it's not bad all the way. It's not bad. That's the thing, but it never... And I think it's something to do with it being a local Lung film as well. You're kind of expecting something, and it doesn't quite rise to it. But in some ways... I suppose if you're really going to be totally objective about it, this is probably a better film than Shaolin Brothers. But,
for sure, yeah.
But because it's such a... I don't know. It's so trapped between different stools. It never quite.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing I'm feeling about this film, is I feel a little bit like this is Lau Kar-leung jumping on the novelty kung fu bandwagon, right? So 79, you've got, there's a plethora of crippled kung fu. And Jackie Chan doing cat kung fu in Snake and Easy Shadow, and it's all novelty kung fu styles and fucking crab style and all that malarkey, right? But Lau Kar-leung is known for a kind of just taking it back to this tradition, and and it's all about Hung Gar. And it just feels like this is just Lau Kar-leung sort of spotting an opportunity in the market. Where, I'll just make up some vampire kung fu then, when all his other films have been about honourable Hung Gar practitioners,
It's also worth considering this in terms of its AKA as a spiritual boxer sequel, which isn't really, but the thing that connects them is Wong Yu, right? Wong Yu is the star of both, and Wong Yu not full on, but yes, in slightly Jackie-like role, right? But
well, to be fair, I mean that's what Wong Yu is for. You know, Wong Yu is for being a buffoon. I'm not saying he's riding on the back of Jackie, because he's kind of there before Jackie,
right,
or at the same time as Jackie. But he's that, you know, buffoonish comedy. He always has been that buffoonish comedy character, isn't he?
Yeah, but it's just I don't remember much about the first Spiritual Boxer, but I remember the first one not being great either, but being fine.
No.
And even though this isn't really a sequel at all, there's kind of something. They are of a piece, right? You could consider this a follow-up as well.
Well, yeah, but also I think that you need to consider this in his filmography as well, right? So this is between two masterpieces, right? And I dispute one of the masterpieces, but this.
Are you talking Lau Ga Lung now?
Lau Ga Lung, yeah. So he's made this in between Shaolin Challenges Ninja and Dirty Ho. Right? And I don't like Dirty Ho, but I can respect Dirty Ho.
Yes.
Right?
I go with the prevailing winds. I do like Dirty Ho.
Yeah. But they're pinnacles of the genre, right? You know, there are people, you know, hardcore fans you can ask, what's your favorite kung fu film? And they'll say Dirty Ho, or they'll say, oh, Shaolin. You know, they are genuinely at the top of people's roster. And this is right in between them. So I kind of wonder what the fuck he was thinking.
It is a bit of a weird backstep, isn't it? Because, because even before that, if you go, imagine, you go Challenge of the Masters, Executions from Shaolin, 36 Children of Shaolin, Shaolin Mantis, Heroes of the East, Spiritual Boxer 2, Dirty Ho, Mad Monkey Kung Fu, Return to the 36th Chamber. Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's a bit of almost like a contractual thing or something like, you promised me do 2 Spiritual Boxer films, Lo.
Yeah, or it was rushed, or like you say, a contractual thing. But you know, it's all the sets seem thought. I know it's Shaw Brothers, so I know they can mobilize stuff quickly. You know, but there's proper sets in this. You've got all the, you know, all the sort of haystacks stuff at the end, and
or like you said,
so
it was like, we've got a spare fortnight. Let's try and piggyback on this, you know, Jackie gimmick thing. Sorry, not to. I know what you mean, but viewers might not. I don't think Darren's trying to denigrate or disrespect what Jackie did as a silly novel.
Of course not. No, not at all.
Yeah, but
that's when it started, really, isn't it?
Right.
This novelty. You know, it's animal styles that don't exist in kung fu. You know, all of a sudden there's, you know, like in what was it, Kung Fu Genius? All of a sudden you've got duck style and, you know, all this business, haven't you?
Goose Boxer.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Or whatever.
Goose Boxer is actually really good.
Or whatever that thing Dean Sheck does in that film, where he sticks his ass out and runs around.
Oh, that's right.
While the Hawaii 5-0 theme plays.
So just to bring it back to zombies or vampires, there's a weird scene in this where she's leading because at one point his girlfriend kind of takes over leading the herd, and she walks down the street and she shouts out basically zombies coming, better get out of the way if you're 20, 25, 30, 35, 42 or 46 years old.
Yeah. Well, those are the bad years, right?
Okay, all right. So
if you might remember from your time here in Japan, at certain years, people need to go to the temple on New Year's Day if they're of a certain age.
Okay.
So,
well, fuck, I wish I knew this. I've gone through all of these years.
You're good, don't worry, but you seem to be fine. Apart from your house burning down.
That's true, yes.
Yeah. Although I don't see any smouldering, so that might have been...
Yeah, all seems well for the moment. And then parking is this going to be a consistent thing? Because you've seen far more of these, like this thing of like showing up at the hotel and just parking your zombies in a little stall that apparently is there for them.
I think it's unavoidable. Yeah, it's like a stable or something, isn't it? It's either for horses or vampires. Yeah.
And this will show up again because it shows up in these two very clearly, and it shows up really in at least 3 out of the 4 of these, I think.
Well, the thing about the spaghetti western crossover as well, the thing is you don't need anyone to say, prepare me 5 coffins. Because they don't need them. They're already
they're just there.
Yeah.
Standing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Worth noting as well, one we didn't get to when we did Red Chamber because it didn't have subtitles, but Cecilia Wong's in an erotic dream of the Red Chamber. So I would like to see that.
I like Cecilia Wong. Yes.
You know who she's fucking married to?
No.
Nat Chan.
I don't know who it is.
Look at Clive's face. Just look at it.
Chan, man. He's a very unfunny kind of Hong Kong comedic president. I'm sure we'll come across him at some point.
Yeah, we'll get there.
He's like a fucking rush. But anyway, shall we move on from that depressing bit of news?
Yeah. I find myself in need of disappearing for approximately a minute.
All right.
Okay. You do that.
Yeah. You carry on if you like.
No. It is Shaolin Red Master.
Okay.
AKA Shaolin Tough Kid, AKA Master of Violence, 1979. Apparently Hong Kong production again, shot in Taiwan. And this might be Hong Kong shot in Taiwan.
Yeah.
Could be. Right. So this one, where we get a bit of a history lesson about Lamaism, don't we, at the beginning of this?
Yes. Yes, which is weird.
Which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's true, it seemed...
It feels a little bit like History Channel after 11 o'clock, though, at night.
Except there was no
aliens. With all the pyramids and flying saucers.
Yeah.
It was low on the Von Daniken for that.
Yes.
But so this one stars Chi Kwan Chun of so this is interesting actually, Nick. I was wondering because I know you're familiar, if I remember correctly, do you not show the Iron Monkey remake to your school children?
I do.
Yes, so Chi Kwan Chun is the original Iron Monkey.
Okay, which
no,
I
he's not. No.
I haven't seen, so I will.
Isn't he?
Chen Quan Tai.
Oh, yes. You're right.
Okay.
Which one's in this film? It's Chi Kwan Chun, isn't it?
Chi Kwan Chun.
You're right. You're absolutely. So, Nick, you know that film Iron Monkey, which is your kids?
Yes, I do.
Nothing to do with this at all, isn't that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Thanks, Clive.
There we go.
I think if you were doing the Kevin Bacon game, you could say that Chi Kwan Chun and Chen Quan Tai were in Shaolin Temple together. In terms
where
of the
they
film,
weren't allowed to eat
76.
bacon.
Yeah.
Which is Kevin Bacon's name. There we go.
There you go.
Done. Sorted. Yeah. So he's in there, but it's a little bit removed.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. You can send me a check later on, Clive.
You do. That's quite embarrassing to have confused Chi Kwan Chun. See, I think the reason being is because I haven't seen a Chen Quan Tai film for a long time. I'm blanking on what Chen Quan Tai looks like, and if I look him up now on the Hong Kong movie database,
mustache. Remember the mustache?
There we go. I've got him. I didn't even have to look it up. You just said mustache. Yes. So anyway, Chen Quan Tai is not in this film. You fool, Nick.
I'm so sorry. I thought that.
Yes.
I don't know what was wrong with him.
And right, help me out. I seem to always need a little bit of a leg up with, and then
okay. Let me. Apologies, Nick. Sorry. I feel like I rode over you there.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. So not only have we got Chi Kwan Chun, we've also got legendary Taiwanese badass Lung Fei in this.
Yes.
As well as choreographer Tommy Lee Gam Ming, who is doing a fucking bang-up job. of kung fu fights and being an evil llama.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke about him, of course, when we did Hot, the Cool, and the Vicious.
Yeah.
Phantom Kung Fu. And we should mention, we mentioned earlier
We haven't done Phantom Kung Fu yet.
haven't we?
No, we haven't done Phantom Kung Fu.
We might have by the time this comes out.
Oh yeah, we might have done Phantom Kung Fu by then.
Yeah, I'm going to edit this now, so I don't
Mm.
mention Cheng Pan Tai, make Nick look foolish.
Yes.
And you look stupid because we just did Phantom Kung Fu. And I will rule the world. The whole world will admire me. So
No, I'm just gonna veto Phantom Kung Fu until 2025.
what I was going to say is, well, in regards to when we were talking about Wong Fei Hung and all that, and Trajectory Lau Brothers, Tommy Lee's just about to direct his first film, Put Your Wing.
Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned. Well, actually, don't stay tuned, because I reckon by the time this comes out, we'll have done it.
This is the internet, not the radio, for a start.
So what's Shaolin Red Master all about then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's
I
a
thought
man
Darren
named
was gonna tell
Shaolin.
us. Yeah, go on.
Oh, I'm going to tell you. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So anyway, Chi Quan Chun is basically a Shaolin badass.
Not Cheng Pan Tai, Nick. Yeah, fucking.
Yes.
You can tell by the moustache.
Yes. Yeah. Ovs.
So Chi Quan Chun is a Shaolin badass who was left there as a child after his parents were killed by a llama.
Oh, that's right. It's coming back to me.
Yeah. And he leaves Shaolin to avenge his parents and find some ginseng, some ancient ginseng.
Can I just interject just to say that, just in case, like me as a child watching the news, you were very upset when you heard that like 9 gorillas were hanged in Africa, and misunderstood that there's 2 different ways to spell that word and what those mean. His parents weren't killed by the animal llama.
No. I was going to say, I think it's a little bit more. It's not just 2 different ways to spell the same word.
Yeah, probably 2 different ways to pronounce it too. Guerrilla versus gorilla.
My apologies. It was actually alpacas.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So Chi Quan Chun's dad was killed by an alpaca from Tibet.
Yes.
So this falls into the category the category I'm very fond of, actually, is the Kung Fu mystery.
Right.
It can get tiresome. It gets a bit tiresome though from time to time, doesn't it?
We'll get there. Yeah. But so basically, because I think the way to encapsulate it then, so we don't necessarily give away too many spoilers, or it doesn't really matter, is like you said, Chi Quan Chun basically wants to know who killed his parents, and the only link he's got is Lung Fei. Lung Fei's got something to do with it, but he's not the big bad, right? But he's got something to do with it.
He's just out of prison and has the best head of hair I've ever seen.
He's always got a good head of hair.
Chinese prisons obviously do something for the follicles, because he's got a man mane.
And Lung Fei wants being paid by the man who died, and his widow is
Uchin.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I always think of her as
I've just said her name 2 times.
No, Wu Gam I was looking for, but yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Wu Gam Chu Hing. Yeah. Same person. So she's been widowed, it seems, and her husband owed Lung Fei for ginseng. There's ginseng, right? But there's something up. So both Chi Quan Chun and Lung Fei are following Wu Gam about, and because she keeps going to like mortuaries and things in the middle of the night to talk to her dead husband, and this is where we get our very brief bit of. This is very much just a interlude, isn't it?
Yeah.
In this film,
Not, however,
there's
who worked for her. Go ahead, Darren.
No, you carry on.
Because she does have the same heavy-set actor who played the bumbling Taoist priest's assistant. He works for her as her waiter, and there's extended comedy bits around him and his kind of big-boned wife who eats a lot of chicken.
Yeah, this is Ko Shang. What's his name? Ko Shang something.
He does a lot of the same jibs that we've seen him do, of the kind of like freaking out.
You'll see a lot more of him. Yes, yeah. Not only do we get a fat man, we get a fat man, fat wife, and there's a fat kid. So
Yeah.
if you like,
yes, the little Dennis the Menace character.
It's hilarious. Yeah, no end of rotund hilarity in this film.
Yeah, and he gets very frightened at one point.
Yeah, of course,
doesn't he?
that's what fat people do, as we know.
Well, yeah.
Since I've gained weight, I've got awfully easily more frightened than before. It's just it goes with the territory. I think it's something to do in the back of your mind, like, oh, I might not be able to run away fast enough because I'm too fat.
Yeah.
But anyway, so but she keeps. So people are suspecting, oh, maybe the husband isn't. So it's a kung fu mystery with ginseng, and the real bad guy, like you said, is the Shaolin Red Master, as played by Tommy Lee, who also did the choreography.
Yeah.
And do we want to go any more into plot? I don't think we want to do plot. We can talk about bits and pieces, but
there's not much. To be fair, there's not much of it. I mean, it's like there's a MacGuffin that's the ginseng, and then
and a second MacGuffin of a jade.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, 15 minutes before the end, it's all about a jade Buddha. That's it. So it doesn't matter.
So we should mention it's Sung Ting Men is the director.
Yeah.
Chen Chu Hung.
Good pedigree.
He also did The Traitorous, fan favorite, The Traitorous, right?
We're getting into that. Stay tuned.
He also did, speaking of vampires, he did something called The Vengeful Vampire in 1975. So the screenwriter of this, Chen Chu Hung, was also the assistant director. He also wrote Deadly Silver Spear, which Sung Ting Men also directed, which is one new film on odd. I was going to say an odd Wang Yu film, but that basically just means a Wang Yu film. I mean,
it's just a Wang Yu.
I'm not sure how many I think the non-odd Wang Yu film is more the outlier than the weird one. Right? They're all, which is why we love Mr. Wang. Trundle's Philip Corfay's and there's a Pangang's in there. Interesting face. Lung Fei, I suppose. Because Lung Fei is one of the great kung fu villains, right? There's nothing better than seeing Lung Fei in a silly little Superman cape fighting someone on the beach. I mean, that's just cinematic bliss.
But the thing is, what's good about this is that usually Lung Fei is in a basher in the early 70s with Wang Yu.
Yeah.
Where it's good. It's good shit, right? But it's not slick.
No, but Lung Fei looks like a man who Basher was made to explain.
Of course he is.
Right?
Of course he is. But in this film, Tommy Lee's doing a really fucking good job, in my opinion. And Lung Fei's looking slick.
Yes.
In terms of the kung fu action.
But what I was going to say is it's both good and bad, because on the flip side, what I was going to say is, unfortunately, Lung Fei is slightly wasted because he's neither the hero nor the big bad, right?
He's kind of
you'd like to see more of him, right? Because it's got to be said, I mean, this is fine. I enjoyed this all the way through. It's all right. But then I think the final fight, which uses slow-mo, which you realize when you actually see slow motion like this, and you realize how rarely slow-mo is actually used. Which is something you'd expect it to be used more in kung fu films, right? But you don't really actually get it that much. But this is a fucking good old-fashioned beatdown with limb snapping, right? And you're like, that was satisfying. I fucking enjoyed that. And it left a good overall, because I like a kung fu mystery, even though, weirdly enough, I don't like mysteries I'm not a whodunit. I like the Columbo method, you know up front who did it. You can relax. Detective fucking figure it out. It's not my job. But I do like a kung fu mystery for some reason, like a combination. And then you get to the end, cumulative limb snapping, actually, literally cut in inserts of pieces of wood being snapped. And of course, you have a training scene leading up to it, which is always kung fu film should always, a
Yes.
really good kung fu film needs a training scene. So
preferably with a big shirtless man and a small chubby shirtless child together as comic relief
Yes.
during.
No, that works.
yeah,
Yeah,
no. Nick, your fetish is catered for.
Yeah, they're all hits.
So yeah. So I'd never seen it before as well, so it also helps. It's first time viewing it. So I rather enjoyed Shaolin Red Master. I think this more than the previous two. This was the first of this batch that I enjoyed. Good fun. Shaolin Red Master. How did you both get on with this? I mean, fucking no, hardly any hopping vampires. It is
really,
least hopping vampires we will be talking.
Yes.
I did warn you.
You did.
I did warn you about
You did.
that.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. It's like those, when you get bags like may have come in contact with,
hopping
peanuts.
vampire.
In this case, this film may have been slightly contaminated by hopping vampires.
Right.
I enjoyed it too. I thought it was fun. It was goofy in places, in the right places, and it was the fighting was good.
Did we
I also
get roused by that final fight where we all
for sure. And I like that actually, in the very brief moments it did have hopping vampires, it stole Ennio Morricone's score to Exorcist 2.
Okay.
Get used to that. Get used to that.
And it's a good piece of music. It's one of my favorite of his like Hollywood soundtracks. And so yeah, and it actually, funnily enough, the music in the first one we talked about as well, in the Hopping Vampires, had a little bit of that same percussive, weird chanting, crying kind of clankiness. That's but I don't think it's taken from that. I think it's another piece of music entirely.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree with both of you. I think it's a straight A to B kung fu mystery, but the mystery doesn't really matter because no one cares. The food's good in it. Not a lot of hopping vampires, but yeah, I think Tommy Lee is very, very much on form.
Yeah.
In this one.
He threatens to burn the widow or whatever she is, maybe widow, with like acid at one point, which is quite intense.
Yeah. But also, the one criticism I would give of it is it's all great, except it suffers from the overuse of slow-mo at the end. I think the slow-mo at the end goes on just 5 to 10 seconds too long. And
I didn't mind it just because it was a novelty, and it reminded me of how little you see it. So I thought,
there a tiny bit of undercranking in there as well? Because I got 300, Zack Snydery, proto, it's sped up now, it's slowed down, and I don't know. I liked it though. It worked for me.
Also in it, Jimmy Lee Lung Fong, he was as a henchman briefly.
I mean, I do question as well what the fuck Philip Coffey's doing in there.
Oh yeah, I forgot Philip Coffey was in there.
He's in there for like fucking 30 seconds.
Yeah, because you see Philip Coffey, you hope that he's going to do something. I mean, because he's such a.
This film may contain trace elements of Philip Coffey.
Philip Coffey, there we go.
That's what it said on the poster.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so good film.
Yeah.
Good, solid, recommended, good bit of Tommy Lee, cheek punching action. And
I suppose if you're a completist when it comes to your hopping corpses, then
right.
Yeah, don't watch this if you want to see hopping vampires.
Yes. But if you want to see every square inch of celluloid devoted to them, then you're going to have to see this.
Right. Next up, Charles Hawtrey joins the mafia in Carry On Wise Guy from 1980. There he is. Do that again, Nick. Yes, I believe you're being Williams there. What a rubber face you are.
What a Jim Carrey goon. What was his fucking name? Phil Cool. There you go.
Phil.
Oh, Phil Cool. Jesus Christ.
Yes. Who Half Man Half Biscuit referred to as rubber-faced
Face irritant. Yes.
I used to love Phil Cool when I was a kid.
So did I. Yes.
And he did that thing
Yeah,
where he
me
turned
too.
into an alien at the end, didn't he?
Yeah.
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 That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Out of V. Basically, he was doing a thing out of V where he would kind of pull up his own. And
Yeah, I suppose what he was, actually, in retrospect, probably the reason I liked him, he was like the working class equivalent of fucking Rory Bremner. Like Rory Bremner was a bit more public school, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Rory Bremner was all about darlings and actors and acting and, you know, and Phil Cool was about shit and cum and piss and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of a different Phil Cool. Is this
No, he wasn't
a porn star Phil Cool?
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking, yeah, sorry, my apologies. I was thinking of Rocco's Freddy. My apologies.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, would it be the first time they've been mixed up?
No.
So
almost
anyway,
identical. Yeah.
Back to Bernard Bresslaw and
remind me to tell you the time I took my grandmother accidentally to see Rocco's Freddy live on stage, and she had that heart attack.
No.
Well, first of all, if you had taken your grandmother to see Rocco's Freddy, why didn't you invite me?
Well, because I thought the joke was I was going to be Phil Cool, you see.
Oh,
right.
It was a hilarious mixed joke. Yes. I was wondering why you were both looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So what film are we talking about next then?
Carry on.
Wise guy.
Wise guy, yeah.
Who's the wise guy then? I'm assuming, is it? I mean, who knows who makes the English titles up for these things, but I suppose Eric Tsang and Luke Awing are wise guys.
Yeah, like Young is kind of the wise guy in this, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would be the fellows in I know Darren would love me to bring this up. His most beloved TV commercial of the 90s for Goodfellas Pizza. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I remember how that used to rub you the wrong way because they were all very bada bing, bada.
I had completely forgotten about that commercial. And yeah, it's making me angry right now.
Yes. Name your pizza after organized crime.
Yeah. Well,
kebab.
Yeah, but I don't give a shit about the morality. I just gave a shit about the kind of it's just annoying. Yeah. Thanks for that, Clive. I'm going to go to bed angry now. Yeah.
So this is the most modern set so far of our hopping vampire films, right? Because this is kind of like the Japanese occupation of China. Right? That's the background here.
Yeah, although it's difficult to tell watching Kung Fu films, the Japanese occupation of China seems to have been going on for about 2,000 years. But yes, in this case, I think specifically, it's supposed to be the 1930s, I guess.
It seems like it's supposed to be the 1930s.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So everyone's got very 70s hair.
Yeah. So they've got guns and Japanese uniforms, so you know.
Yeah. So this one there's a bloke on the run from the Japanese, and for a minute I had to look it up because I was like, is that Dean Shek or not? But it wasn't Dean, because you know when Dean Shek's not being goofy when he's got a normal face.
Yeah.
He looks like who it is, who's Law Kun, right? But at first I was like, Dean Shek, Law Kun. And he's
some skinny bloke falls into the Shaolin temple with a map.
And the Shaolin monks go, fucking that's Dean Shek, and then it's not. And then disappointed. But then he's got a map which has apparently all the military maneuvers that the Japanese are. So obviously the military moved slow in those days. You could have a map for like fucking
For
ages,
weeks.
and they wouldn't
That
change
doesn't-
their
yeah.
plans, right?
Yeah, maybe it's all the encampments or something like that. Yeah, but anyway,
Yes,
yes.
you'd think they'd move around a little bit with you,
Yeah.
but anyway, this is gospel, so they've got to get it to the resistance, and
Rebel
Albert
forces,
and
yeah.
all the other monks are killed pretty much. So Gordon Liu, once again, is tasked with rendezvousing with someone he doesn't know who it's going to be, but he's going to have a lump on his back, right?
Which he fucking should have seen. That thing
Yeah,
does
but,
not look okay.
I mean, if
Go
it
to-
was here, it would be a goiter, it would be fine, as we
Yeah.
know from previous episodes. But it's round the back.
I was
slip.
very worried when I saw it finally. I was like, "Ooh!" I thought he would be like a slightly hunchback or have a hump. But
Yeah, no, that
looked
looked
worrying.
angry, didn't it? That looked
Yeah.
that looked yeah.
You should call it Belial.
exactly.
But yes, so and in order to escape, he gets some smugglers to help him,
Yes.
who pretty much all
Grifters,
get blown up and shot. Apart from Eric Sang,
Right.
who had just directed The Loot, is worth mentioning, which is a
Yeah.
fucking good film. In fact, we might do The Loot soon because that's so
We
good.
should maybe do the Loot and the Challenger because I think people forgot about them.
Yeah, well, actually, I've got an idea. I'll mention that to you later on, actually, about
Yeah.
The Loot.
Yeah.
So this is another Lau. This is the other one who wasn't in the other one. This is Lau Ka Young, right? Who is he's what is he? He's nephew of. I did write it.
He's one generation down from.
He's one of these Laos, right?
Yeah, but he's a cheeky chappy, isn't he? He's the cheeky one.
Right.
But he's the cheeky one who knows how to do kung fu,
Mm-hmm.
and Eric Sang is the one who doesn't know how to do kung fu, but he's also cheeky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry,
He's the one they call Fat Dragon.
Huh?
Which one is the one they call Fat Dragon?
Yeah, he's the fat one.
Right. Eric Sang is.
Although he's not that fat, they seem to really get a lot of mileage out of it, and I'm like, he's all right. He's not.
Well, he
fine.
gets bigger. We'll talk about him because he's also in Reincarnation of Golden Lotus. I will get there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, so Lau Ga-yang, who had just fought Huang Zhangli in Dragon's Claws as well.
Yeah.
And went on to direct some of his own things, like New Kids in Town as well as one he directed. I've not seen it, but apparently is fucking good.
No, it's excellent. Really good. Yeah.
Yes, so and Eric Sang and Lau Ga, sorry, Lau. So this is also a Lau Brothers film production. So they seem to have done like 4 or 5 of these Lau Brothers productions. I think this is the last of the initial 4. They did like 4 of them in a run from 1980, and then they took a gap, and then they made the triad film, The Dragon Family, in 1988. But basically, Lau Brothers Film Corporation made a handful of these films, and directed by Lau Ka Wing, who is also the villain of the film, along with Lily Lee. And her hidden weapons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are,
And Chang Tao. Don't forget Chang Tao.
I know we'll get to him. So basically they're the villains of they're the 2 villains, and they're the collaborators with the occupying Japanese, as personified by a general played by Chang Tao, who has a couple of moments of being nicely evil and stomping on old people in the street and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and meanwhile, Eric Sang and Lau Ka-yang, they've decided to escort Gordon Liu to his unknown rendezvous. At the same time, thinking, we'll steal, because they think the map that he's got is actually some kind of goodies or something, right? So they're planning to rip him off, but basically as the film progresses, these bumbling fools turn out to be, well, they're all right, really, because at heart, they are at least patriots. and the real villains are Lau Wing and Lily. And actually, spoilers, at the very, very, very end, it turns out actually she's not too bad either. She's just been biding her time. And you do slightly wonder, well, why didn't you do that kind of 10 minutes earlier? That probably would have saved a lot of bloodshed. But anyway, we also would have been deprived of a fine, blistering final fight, right? Once again, music Frankie Chan. That is the plot.
Yeah, because they used the hooked. Here's one of my favorite pieces of the film, because this film doesn't have a lot of hopping vampire.
Oh, that was either. What I was going to get to next was the hopping vampire component.
Let's do that then, and then I'll.
Oh, go on, then you do it.
The music. Well, no, it's just the music
choice. Manifest here, Nick.
The music. Well, it's just that when they do show up, there's like a dance scene of just about where like, and it seemed to like anticipate Thriller to me.
It did a bit, yeah.
I was like, when did this come out? So then, but the music they used is the Hooked on Classics, which you may or may not remember was that like hugely successful album of the 70s where somebody put like a 4-on-the-floor thumping disco beat to like Beethoven and stuff. And it was a weird best-selling novelty thing. That's what's playing. It's like Beethoven. Your
value for money here, Nick, because the thing that me and Darren are rubbish at is identifying needle drops. So I can guarantee you we had the same and the Exodus 2 thing, but we didn't identify.
Yeah, we didn't clock it.
Okay.
No.
So you're good at this. We need to consult you more. You can be our needle consultant.
Okay, all right. But yes, anyway, you feel free to feel. I can't remember exactly how they even entered in. I just remember at that point, I was like, "Oh, this is all very."
To be honest, it is probably the most arbitrary dropping on of a hopping vampire we've yet. I'm still not quite.
They just bump into a procession, basically.
Yeah, well, randomly, while Gordon Liu and the other two are running away, look, it's a corpse herder. Look at that, and then somehow they try and we can use them to scare the monk, the Shaolin monk, so he runs away and we can steal his goodies.
So there's the hijinks then with the paper sticking it to his back and stuff.
Contrived doesn't even begin to fucking honestly, you remove that section and it makes not one iota of difference to the rest of this film.
This one was a stretch, to be fair.
Yes. But worth it because this was a lot of fun and the end fight is fucking good. Blistering stuff, I thought.
Well, I put in my notes at the end. Right, and I was very excited at the end, but this is on a level with the best, certainly, that Liu Lang has done, and possibly needs to be elevated into top fights in Hong Kong cinema.
It's good stuff. It's sure.
It's
unfortunately
great.
The film isn't overall. Although it's good. It's good.
It's good. I mean, the fights are nicely peppered. There's a good peppering of fights to keep you interested.
But if it was missing this final skirmish, it wouldn't necessarily be worth going out of your time to see. But combined with the final 10-15 minutes.
Fucking hell. Yeah.
So are there any other films that have Gordon in his classic kind of Shaolin look holding a gun?
Not that many.
That's a weird thing for me to see him with the shaved head, with the incense, and like just waving a gun at the screen.
So I'm curious now because none of us had seen this before, right?
No, I hadn't seen it.
No. So how did you? Because we got the hopping vampire kind of novelty removed as a straight up kung fu film. How did this play for you, Nick? Did you get on with this? Was this fun for you? Did you?
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Okay,
it was all kinds of little, stuff at the edges that was interesting and weird as well. Like at one point they put Gordon on like a thing, and I couldn't figure out what the point of it was, but then I realized it was a really advanced, kind of overcomplicated waterboarding machine.
Right.
The thing where they like, put him on the big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was a torture scene, wasn't there? Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
like the fact that it did have you frothing at the ring piece, just like.
Oh yeah. Well, earlier in the film, yes. Earlier in the film, I couldn't figure out where that gun had come from. In that they have an earlier fight where he suddenly pulls the where she flips over, and I was like, did he shoot from between her ass cheeks? Like what happened there?
I didn't get that. I thought that was a new thing at the end.
No, it was shown
I
once
didn't clock
before.
that.
It was shown once before when they were in the initial fight in that restaurant. I liked our Japanese guys, like use of Japanese. That was quite bizarre for me. Like, oh, Daijobu.
Yeah.
Daijobu. Like, you know, Ichiban.
Hakon in it for a little bit as well. Not enough really. It's always good to have some Fung Hakon, but Fung Hakon is in there. Meg Lam.
It's a short. Hang on. It's a short this film from the late 70s. Of course, Fung Hakon is in it.
Yes. No Hushesha.
No Hushesha.
No.
Although I think Xiaoho, is it this one Xiaoho's in?
Yeah, no. Xiaoho is in this. Yeah. Meg Lam of Bald-Headed Betty fame. Also has a good bit as a prostitute who is literally objectified during a kung fu fight. That was quite good fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've seen that done before in some other films, but I quite like that they combined this with Eric Chang being really pervy about it as well.
Yeah.
That was quite a nice.
Yeah, that whole scene with Gordon in the brothel was like dialogue by Finbar Saunders or something.
I was curious how that played in the original, because all the English stress is a real stretch, isn't it? Like, oh well, like I guess what he's trying to say is show me your lumps. Like that's a bit of a stretch. Or show me but that's okay. That's fine. Fina and all that. Carry on. Bar. No, this was this was a lot of fun. This was pick of the half of this bunch.
This episode.
Yes.
So
far.
No, but
until pick another one.
Yeah, I mean, and also this is probably the best I've seen Lily perform in any film. I mean, she's on fire.
Yeah, she is.
You know, and I mean, Lau Kar Wing's always good, but you know that kind of combo business.
What I like is it's particularly well done, right? Because there's a certain point where Eric Chang's got her around the waist, and she's kind of wriggling in his face, and you're thinking, oh, hang on now, this is them trying to throw in a little bit of kind of bawdy kind of humor, and you expect that, and then all of a sudden she fucking hands it
turns nasty.
And it's like, oh, that's nicely done. I didn't expect that turnaround. So that was cool.
No, I have to put this end fight in the top bracket. Which surprises me because I had never seen this before, and no one ever talks about it.
Well, I think the thing is, it's the English title as well, isn't it? I think if you're looking at the filmography, you see Carry On Wise Guy, you're expecting something a bit comedy. More, or full. I mean, there's stupid comedy in there, but you're thinking it's going to be more full-on stupid comedy, right? And but we should know better by now. We should know better that there's film disguised.
No. But this one is, it's not at the top, but it's in the conversation for, you know, blistering end fights. You know, I would categorize this, you know, on a level with something like The Prodigal Son or My Young Auntie, to bring the Laos back to it. I would categorize this as that sort of blistering.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'm quite as impressed as you are there, but you know, again, we're splitting Eric Idle and Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's fucking good. It's fucking good.
Yeah.
People who like fucking good end fights should see it. And also, it has inspired already that we shall be spinning off this a little bit in the future YCHYFUS and Shaw. Whether Nick is with us or not for the YCHYFUS, we shall. But we're going to be going a bit more. We got the taste now. So we want a bit more lowering. We're going to go further down that. Down that well. So. Oh no. Let's
just keep going. Apparently.
Yes. Next film then. So a film that we're not actually including in the count because well, I spoke about it not that long ago with Ron on The Magic Morning Wood, but it would seem lopsided to not include it, and Nick had never seen it before. So what did you make, Nick, or would you like to talk a little bit, or whatever, the floor is yours. Encounters of the Spooky Kind from 1980, right?
80, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the first thing I want to say is that if I didn't know better, which I do, I would have assumed that, somebody saw, Sam Raimi and thought, let's do that. Let's do a kind of a kung fu version of that. But this predates any of that stuff, right? This predates The Evil Dead, and so that was really surprising to me to see. I then wondered, well, did Sam Raimi see?
Well, just to put this into proper context, because I think it's more of a something in the water thing. Because if you see what's it called, Within the Woods, right, which is the early cut of Evil Dead, which I think is from like 79, and that's got some of the same stuff in, and you can tell Evil Dead evolved from. So yeah, I think it is just everyone drinking from the same fount. Is that a word? Anyway, as opposed to Sam Raimi caught Encounters of the Spooky Kind in a Chinatown theater, which is also entirely possible as well. I'm not sure.
Right.
But then again, apparently those guys never saw Equinox either, right? So
that's what I hear. I find very hard to believe. But maybe. No, I mean it was amazing. Actually, I have to say I was almost glad that I came to it this late. That it was new to me, that it was fresh, because it reminded me that there's still things out there that I can be surprised by and be excited by. It was fucking awesome.
It is a classic. It's interesting as well that it's, when I was watching it last time, and especially watching it with Ron, he pointed out that it's actually more of a kung fu film than it is anything else, really, isn't it? It leans much more heavily onto the kung fu, but but it's just got to. Obviously, it was hugely influential.
I mean, it's the best hopping vampire film ever made, surely. Even though the hopping vampire is only there a little bit.
I disagree. When we get to it, I think the vampire is the perfect.
No.
Because Encounters of the Spooky Kind is a great film, but it's not a great vampire film.
It's not. No, I'll give you that. It's not. It is not wall-to-wall hopping vampires. No. It's a vignette towards the beginning of the film.
Yes, yes. Mr. Vampire is the hopping, but we'll get there.
Yeah. We'll get there.
So, do we have anything else to say about Encounters of the Spooky Kind other than see it if you haven't?
If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it.
Yes, and plus something that it has. I'm glad that we talked about, because this papers over something, which is the fact that The Dead and the Deadly isn't a hopping vampire film at all in the least. Now, I knew this would happen, and it may happen again.
It's going to happen a lot.
Because I have got a whole bunch of films on the list, which some of them I've seen, and I know that's perfectly fine. And then there's a whole bunch of other ones which either look like they should be hopping vampire films and they might turn out to not be, or I've read reviews by people who weren't paying attention or just haven't seen the film, but this is the first instance. So I'd seen The Dead and the Deadly before, and not that long ago actually, but it was one of those I can't remember why it ended up in this lecture. Someone must have referred to a hopping vampire or something, and I was thinking back and I was like, I couldn't, because it's one of those films you could easily think there might be a scene.
Yeah.
I mean, also, like the Lucho character who does wear the kind of the hat, and he is apparently dead for a bit.
Yeah,
and then
that's
he is
the
dead,
thing. And I was
right?
like, oh, there might be a scene where someone pretends to be, and that's enough to get on this fucking series, to be honest. But this time watching it, paying attention throughout, I can say, hand on my heart, absolutely, there's fuck all Jiangshi. It's a totally Jiangshi free film.
Experience.
It is. Although I think this is one of those. I think also, although we are concentrating on Jiangxi, what we're also concentrating on is the Jiangxi boom, right?
Yes.
And this is part of that.
Yes.
So this is the next thing to come out after Encounter of the Spooky Kind. So a lot of people call this like a pseudo sequel to Encounter of the Spooky Kind.
But I think
which I completely disagree with.
I think it's worth bringing up because we are not doing some other things. For instance, if we were just doing the spooky boom, we would be doing Haunted Cop Shop and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Which we're not. Although I would love to talk about those films with you too one day. But I'm sure we can shoehorn it into not sure.
Yeah, a couple of Halloween stuff.
Yeah, I have to say, while I was watching this, I was thinking, where's Officer Tuba?
Where's Officer Tuba? Yeah, that would be another one that'll be worth talking about.
But we're not going to watch it because it's not Jiangxi fun. No, but yeah, But however, I think just because it's early, right? Just because it's early in the boom time.
Yes.
And it's got such an association with Samo and Wumar. That it's definitely worth including. So I think we can give you that.
Oh, we watched it. That's the thing. So as well, I reckon if I hadn't brought it up, I reckon lots of people would have given us the benefit of that. We could have just gotten away with it. We just talked about it, not mentioned there was no Happy Vampires.
Truth
in advertising.
Yeah, people would have remembered it as a hopping. Anyway, what it is though, regardless, it is actually a very good film, I think. And it's interesting. And me and Darren spoke about this, not on air, but I remember we spoke about this before. What's interesting about the Deadly is, I think the first time both me and Darren saw this film, we were coming off the back of Encounter of the Spooky Kind, Mr.
Which I was as well. So it does suffer a bit by that comparison.
Okay, this is interesting. Because I reckon this played differently to you then, because we were disappointed the first time round a little bit, I think, just because it's not quite that. It's not quite full on bonkers, impactful, insane action fantasy.
And there's hardly any kung fu in it.
Yes. But then returning to it many years later and having lower expectations and not expecting a slam bang film, it's actually really quite good, I think, but taken on its own term. It's a film. Actually, I was wondering if Nick might be able to speak to this. It would be a film I would like to smoke a spliff to. I'd like to just get stoned and sink into it. And I reckon it's a pretty good stoner film because it's a slower pace, and then when you get to the end, it's what the fuck.
Yes. I learned a lot about ways to protect myself from vengeful ghosts. That I would never have imagined.
I'm not one, not two, but 3 ET cameos.
Yes, that was surprising. That was surprising. And one of some of the strangest choices for makeup I've ever seen. What is with Lucho's massive rubber nose?
Yeah.
And what is with the old age, very unconvincing old age makeup on Samo's boss in this? Like,
yeah.
Well, and in fact, the haircuts too. What's with these? Because we're going to talk about this in a second when we talk about the Master T in Zombie Rivals. What's with these guys with the massive chunks just shaved out of their heads, like randomly
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think in the case of The Dead and the Deadly, this is just the Wu Ma effect, right? Because this is a Wu Ma film. I think
Okay.
Wu Ma likes goofy fuckers in his films, right?
Okay.
I think that written and produced by Sammo Hung and starring Sammo Hung. And yeah, so basically it's the setup.
Oh wait, so Sammo wrote, I love that he wrote a script in which his own character is called Fat Boy.
Yeah, well,
that's all.
That's
yeah. That's all of Sammo's films.
Yes. Yeah.
That's every Sammo film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be fair, Sammo's never been delusional about his weight, does he?
No.
Right.
Apart from the one where he's got Down syndrome.
Okay.
What's he calling that? Mong Boy or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Which film is that?
I do not know about Heart of Dragon.
No.
Heart of Dragon.
Okay, all right.
So, did you see Tropic Thunder?
Yes.
So you know there's a little vignette in that where you've got what's his name? Not Ben Affleck. What's he called? Ben Stiller.
That's right. Yeah.
Where he has a conversation with another actor, and the other actor tells him never go full retard.
Yes.
That's the whole of Heart of Dragon.
Oh. Okay.
And he has a bowl haircut and wears dungarees, which is the sign of
Oh, he is Simple Jack then.
Yeah.
No, he's playing a character with, well, not Down. Yeah, it is Down syndrome.
But I'm just thinking, like that literally you've described. That is what Ben Stiller's character in the movie Simple Jack. He has a bowl cut dungarees.
Yeah. So your next task is to
obviously to see that. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Because despite all of this, it's a really fucking good film.
Yeah, it's an odd. It's actually fun. Me and Ron have spoken about as well. It's
well, I came on for Heart of Dragon, didn't I?
That's right.
In fact, I think I picked Heart of Dragon.
I think you did. Yeah. It is definitely a fascinating viewing experience, and straight up fucking good as well.
It's just a good film.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do. We should get back to this though.
Yes, true.
Go to bed.
So this one is so Sammo Hung works. It's quite fascinating. So he works for an undertaker's, right? And it's quite fascinating to see all the kind of day-to-day funerary stuff. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting stuff. And there's dead old man, and Sammo Hung suspects foul play.
Right.
So he disguises himself as a paper doll.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way around it. It has to be said, this a testament to how entertaining this film is, for me at least, is when it's finished, you realize how ridiculously convoluted the plot to this film. The plot is daft as a fucking brush.
Yeah.
I never thought it while watching. I went with it.
Yeah. No, you
totally
just
went with it.
Whatever fresh lunacy is now happening.
Yeah. And I don't think we need to get into it, but basically a plot is uncovered, but it's not the plot. It's one of those things where he causes more trouble trying to right an injustice, and then characters
including an amazing scene where he goes in to check the body and looks up his ass for some reason, and then Lucho says, "I may catch a severe cold."
Yes, that's one of my favorite subtitles. Interesting response to that, isn't it? I may catch a cold. Because he's having a good look. He's splitting his leg. Good look at his ass.
And then it gets so like Warner Brothers cartoon, with tooth pulling, scene, and it's just.
I think it makes sense if you I think it makes more sense rather than expecting an Encounter of the Spooky Kind, Mr. Vampire, something like that. It's a little bit more. It's not quite as. Madcap. Slapstick, but it's more akin to one of those Karl Macker, Dean Sheck kind of kung fu comedies, isn't it? Not as much action, but that kind of.
Well, I think
cartoon, like Nick said.
Well, yeah, but I think the whole problem, which we've alluded to, the whole problem with The Dead and the Deadly is Encounters of the Spooky Kind, because to my mind, you know, Encounter of the Spooky Kind has got a nice deal of comedy in it, and then it turns serious, and then you get all the action and all the magic shit. You know, you've got 2 fucking 20-foot high altars with people shooting fire out their fingers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Fucking great. And then you get on to Dead and the Deadly, and it's, as you say, it's kind of a Warner Brothers cartoon without a lot of action.
Yeah, and it's a totally different vibe. It's totally different.
It's a totally different thing. And the 2 films shouldn't be associated.
No, agreed.
So if you're watching this without having seen Encounters of the Spooky Kind, watch Dead and the Deadly first.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I find
or just have a big gap between and don't, you know.
Yeah. Because I think it's really hard not to associate them, and I struggle with it, and I just want action. I just want Samo's on screen, and I just want Samo to be turning into the Monkey King and fighting people, and there to be a hopping vampire is not there.
So is that what happened to you, Nick? Did this pale in comparison? Because you watched
it, but I think I did enjoy it on its own merits, and you know, I think as I reread my notes, I was remembering the things about it that are so strange and that are very different than Spooky Encounters. So
yeah, same action team who worked on Sammo Hung's Carry On Pickpocket the same year as well, I think. And there's a lot more action in that.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean,
go on.
No, I was going to say the action that's in it, and there's pretty much one action scene in it, kind of in the middle, which is fucking great.
Oh, it's top. If you actually think about it, it's like fucking hell. That's if that was throughout the whole film, it would actually be one of the most amazing action films.
Because it's Samo doing that thing that Samo does so fucking well, and he's stopped doing period films in the 80s. And that's what he was good at, which is people getting fucking kicked and thrown into fucking furniture. Yeah. That's what Sam was so fucking good at.
And made to look effortless as well, because we were talking about casting as well. Because the thing is, it's not only just like really buff looking healthy young guys. It's someone for a start who doesn't look like he should be able to do that stuff. And all these goofy fuckers like Toshio Ming and people like that.
Like Lucho, our dead guy, I was surprised when he suddenly busts out some very impressive looking kind of foo.
And so he does make it look effortless. He does make it look at effort, which of course it isn't. But it's live action cartoon's a good way. The other thing we should mention, this is one of those odd another puzzle thing is go over to the Korean movie database where this is known as Fights Among Ghosts brackets sequel. Sequel to what? I don't know. And again, that's I don't think it ever got released properly under that English title, but that's the English title over that Korean movie database. This film has 2 Korean co-directors credited.
Really?
Yes. So I'm wondering, either those are credits for people who did the Korean dub of the film.
Yeah.
Or this is one of those examples where there's an odd Korean cut, which we don't know about, which they took all the good bits out and replaced it with a plastic skeleton in a cave, like they did with Into the Dragon Den. I don't know. So if anyone knows of a Korean version of Dead and the Deadly, I haven't been able to find out anymore.
I mean, this is just a Hong Kong film. I mean, there is no fucking doubt. This is a Hong Kong film with 100% Hong Kong talent in it. That's
absolutely.
It.
But I'm just wondering if they did scenes or if it's just the dub.
I would be very interested in seeing some extra skeletons in caves.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Okay, so Dead and the Deadly, it's good stuff as long as you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about... So, I mean, I guess there are spoilers involved, but one of our characters faking death ends up getting murdered, right? And then I mean, the whole thing. So basically, he then asks to borrow Fat Boy's body, and Fat Boy's like, "This sounds like a bad idea," and then in the process, basically ends up fucking up, and Samo's character dies. At which point, Lucho was kind of like, "Wow, sorry about that. See you in hell," and flies away. And then it's this kind of character who's barely been in the film, which is like Samo's like long suffering, the girl he's been betrothed to as a child, right? She kind of steps up and becomes the hero of the last act. And then we get all this crazy awesome stuff about how he's going to come back as a beetle, and she'll have to hide him in her period pad, like stick him in your jam rag because the ghost guards are not going to touch that. But then previously we also saw putting your underpants on somebody's head if you're a woman will also force a ghost to. It's madness. Samo has some kind of death fart that's blue and kind of like flies around the cold wind.
While he's got a live frog in his mouth.
Yeah, it's just it's mental. And then as you point out, then 3 ETs show up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I also liked when Samo was taken over by Lucho, he immediately does the jib, and you would know, right? Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, no, actually, I did like it a lot. And then the very end, basically, the moral of the story is life's short. Let's fuck.
Yeah,
and I was like,
because none of this was made clear. So we've spoiled the whole film anyway. But none of this is made clear because it's not in the dialogue. So then Samo said, when she says, "Oh yeah, by the way, I married you when you were dead," Samo goes, "Oh, all right then. By the way, when we have kids, you're going to die." So, okay, let's fucking have kids then.
yeah.
Last line of the film.
It's an amazing ending. I did like a lot. As I said, I think it is a slightly lesser film than Spooky Encounters, and watching
for sure,
is, as you pointed out, is a mistake. But it's still a great film. It's not its fault, and it's not.
Well, it's a different type of film, I would say. You can't even compare. It's apples and oranges, right? It's
yeah. But I think as well, this is in a little sweet spot, a little golden age around sort of Zoo Warriors, really, which is when Hong Kong decided they needed to spend money on special effects. Right, so and the classic example is Zoo Warriors, which is where they hired Industrial Light and Magic to come and do their special effects, right? And I don't think that ever happened again. But they kind of nicked all their expertise off Industrial Light and Magic and started doing really, really kind of decent for 1980, 82, 83, 84 special effects. And it seemed like every other film in 82, 83 had all of this kind of laser beam stuff and all this kind of wispy ghost painted on the animation cells thing going on. And I feel quite nostalgic about that. I feel quite nostalgic about that period in Hong Kong film where they actually said, right, okay, yeah, we're going to do special effects extravaganzas as well, except we're going to make it fucking mental.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think, Clive?
Yeah, no, I guaranteed. Again, like before when we were talking about whatever the fuck we were talking about before, anything like this, it just bypasses the objective critic part of my brain. And if it's colourful and makes noises, and then I'm a sucker for it. But this is a fucking good, this is a much better film than Ghost Story of Kam Pim Mui at the show.
It's not actually.
Yeah, Darren's having a stroke.
It's only objectively better than the Ghost of Camping.
No, it's better.
No,
it's like mathematics.
Right?
It's 2 and 2 equals 3, but this is a better film.
No,
Robert's not better, but
it's a better made film. I
Oh
had
yeah.
far more fun with Ghost of Camping Moy. Yes,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Well.
Ghost of Camping.
There's a turn up for the books. I mean, I enjoyed both, but I think
Tits, Robert,
Yeah.
Kufeng as Taoist Ghostbuster, swastikas,
Shooting
laser
out of his
beams.
I don't know, Darren. I think I'm likely to catch a cold from this conversation.
So, is it
Good
Zombie
one.
Rivals next?
Good one.
Right. Well, now we're talking about real cinematic excellence. Now is the time.
Ah, yes. I believe.
Oh, so it's time for Elton John.
Yes. Ahoy! There he is. All right,
Ethan, I need to take a shit.
Wow. Nick
Well done.
really is turning out to be the Phil Cool of the show, isn't he? This is quite impressive. Yes. So we are talking. Well, take your pick.
Yes.
It's either the
let's go Elton. Let's just go Elton.
Well, even Elton is so. It could be considered the first of the Zodiac America series. So
yes.
Zodiac America, the Supermaster.
Yes.
Go straight to Zodiac America 3, Kickboxer from Hell, which is the jewel of this series.
Of the Zodiac America series.
Zodiac America Kickboxer from Hell is fucking mental. I would highly recommend that.
Well, before we talked about before we were talking off air, I was just saying that I mistakenly thought that the opening credits, so that the trailer that shows at the beginning of the version we saw, I thought that was the opening credits, and I couldn't understand why somebody kept shouting the title over and over again. Zodiac America, the Supermaster, an unholy alliance of good and evil. Zodiac, like 5 times, like, holy shit, this movie really wants me to remember what it's called. And then I was, it's just the trailer. Okay.
And then it's very easy to forget, and as well.
Yeah, I completely forgot it.
Yes.
Yes.
But
well,
any title that has a colon in it is always going to be a challenge.
It is a series from the geniuses at IFD, the sequels being Zodiac America 2 Evil Destroyer, which was made from, I think, a film, some Taiwanese film that hasn't been identified yet. And then Zodiac America 3 Kickboxer from Hell, which is made from a ghost film from the 70s called The Obsessed, and is just wonderful. And it's got sledgehammer fights and plastic skulls. And have either of you seen Zodiac America 3?
I don't think I have. No.
Oh, we might have to arrange a screening. It's just, yeah, it's great.
Well, can't it be shoehorned?
I'm sure it could at some point. Yes. But it's also, aka in this form alone, it's Zombie Rival, the Super Ninja Master, Zombie versus Ninja, or Zodiac Power, the Supermaster.
Wow. And that's all just this version with the ninja inserts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Zodiac Power, the Supermaster is the best title for any film ever. It's just
good.
That it's done.
All films should be called Zodiac America, although it might get confusing. Yeah.
Well, they can't be called that because this is already called that.
Have you seen the cover? Have you seen the video cover for the like, at least the one that was released in England, Zombie Rival, the Super Ninja Master, which has Conan the Barbarian on the front?
Yes. Extremely representative of what happened in the film, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah. It's anyway.
So
this is go on.
Yeah, so this started life as an Elton John film from 1983, directed by Kim Jung-yong. That's how this started. Known as, whereas the English title over the Korean movie database is The Undertaker of Sohwa Province, right? And that's a film
as Gravedigger, right?
Sorry?
Also released as Gravedigger.
Yeah, so this used to be about as well as a film called, and I think I figured this out because the version we watched a Korean version which ran 88.5 minutes, shitty quality version on YouTube. And then we watched Zodiac America, the Supermaster, whatever the fuck you want to call it, which runs 87 minutes, but also runs a much faster frame rate because I watched them side by side and they kept going out of sync, regardless of things being in a different order. And I don't know if either of you compared the two versions, but
no.
I'll get to that. But if you take the ninja stuff out of the recut version, I'm guessing that's what Gravedigger is. So I think IFD just, or we can re-release that as a non-ninja film if we just cut out all the ninja bits. So then it came out again as Gravedigger.
So it was just shorter, yeah.
Yes, it ran about 75 minutes. I haven't seen that in a long time. So I don't recall what the plot was. And I'll be fucked if I know what the plot is this time. In the original Korean version.
Well, the thing is, what you have to remember, Clive, is there are some ninjas, right, who are all white, who wear golden and silver clothing.
Hang on,
right? And who are called names like Barry and Brad.
Oh, well, no,
and Gavin.
They're called Ira, Ethan, Bobby, and Bert.
Bert, yeah. Bobby and Bert were the ones, the Sesame Street names that really stuck out to me.
I quite like Ira. That's a good name for a ninja.
That is a good for a ninja, yes. And they also wear what looks like the blue recycling bags that I have to like put my cans out in here. Some anyway.
Yeah, they look more like a disco chic or something than ninja.
Yeah. And for some reason, they like to call Elton John Ethan.
Oh, they do. Yes.
Yeah, well, right. So here we go. So before we get to that, because I was trying to figure out what the plot of the original film is, which I could make. Right. Well, according to the Korean movie database, it is this. At the bordering lands of Chosun and Qing Kingdom, there lived slash and burn farmers of Chosun descent. Jang Ui-jin's family is attacked by Ma Chun-sang and his gang. The gang kills the whole family and dumps their bodies at the public cemetery. I don't recall seeing any of this. Saved by Su Jang-ui, who I guess is the guy Nick was doing an impression of.
Master Chi.
Yes,
as he's known.
yes, as played by Kim Yong-wan, who's a lot of fun. The Undertaker of Sohwa, Jang Ui-jin saves his life. Ui-jin masters archery, sorry. Was there any archery in this film?
I don't remember this, no.
There's no archery in this.
He masters hammering nails into coffins with his bare hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plans to avenge his family who died such violent deaths, but Jang Ui urges him to concentrate on living. Good advice. Then Chun Sang and his gang enter Sohwa region. The Chosun people living in Sohwa realize that the state of their country is perilous. They gather money and gold to send along with a secret agent. However, Chun Sang's gang catches on to this and they steal the money and gold. Jang Ui and Ui-jin take on Chun Sang and his gang. The gang surrenders to Jang Ui-jin and they run out of town. Now, I'm deeply suspicious of this plot summary.
Yep.
Because even in the original version, I'm pretty sure those are supposed to be undead zombies or something, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't mention that in the plot summary. So
yes, that seems like bullshit to me.
Yeah.
Elton's dad does seem to have been some sort of political or dissident or rabble rouser or wanting to fight back against something, because there is this whole part, and I did turn on that. So I watched half of the Korean version with the subtitles turned on in Korean and then translated very poorly into English. And that one segment where he kind of talks about how they've raised this money in order to, raise an army to protect the area or whatever.
Yeah.
They seem to be there. And then
that is in the dub as well, isn't it? Very brief.
Yes, it is.
Where someone hands over some money and says, oh, thank goodness someone's providing money for defense or something.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
that said, the plot of the original film, don't really know. Plot of English dub IFD Ninja version,
Much better.
What is happening?
I would like to see a novelization of it, because I was trying to figure out. I mean, it's a bunch of stuff happen. I'm happy to watch it. It's kind of fun to watch stuff, and then they interact, right? Then like Mark Houghton or someone like that starts talking to a character from the other film and say things like, "The dragon's fire burns hot." To which someone else, "Oh my god, that refers to a kung fu style that hasn't been used in hundreds of years."
Yeah, and then it's like Forrest Gump, isn't it? You know, when Forrest Gump goes into like the old footage of Nixon, you know,
it's just as well integrated as Forrest Gump. In fact, I believe Robert Zemeckis worked on Zodiac America, the Supermaster.
Yeah. But yeah, I fucking love this. So it's like you've got all this fucking conversation between the white Brad ninjas. Barry, what's he called again?
Bert and Ira. Bert and Ira, the ninjas.
Bert and Ernie, yeah. So anyway, so Eric and Rupert, the ninjas, are chatting away, and they're chatting. It's not badly done when you've got Barry Ninja talking to Elton Chong, but they're talking to each other, and it's like, what's the power structure of these ninjas who, ironically, all look the fucking same to me?
Yep. Although they are nicely, as IFD ninjas often are, labeled
ninja.
Yeah,
they've got ninja written over.
Sorry, not Mark Houghton. Mark Houghton's in Zodiac America. This is Pierre Kirby, who's the main.
Pierre Kirby.
Yeah, and
you two
Kuzma as well.
Yeah, you two have to do the heavy lifting on this, because I wrote loads and loads of good notes on this, which I left at work. So I'm working from memory.
It's kind
of full
of
disclosure.
I mean, we can't really do the plot because we don't know the plot of the original film, and then the IFD version doesn't really have a plot. But suffice to say,
well, it does though. It does.
Really?
Yeah.
Kind of.
What happened? You have footage. So the original film has Elton Chong is saved. It's true, he is saved by.
Yeah, but you ignore the fucking Bert Ninja shit.
No. Right? But yeah. And basically he raises him, and maybe the character who Mike Wong plays might have killed his parents, right? So it's basically thing. But
well, actually, I think
by taking him out to remote locations, running off, and then he has to fight. I don't even know what it is. Is it a zombie?
Yeah, zombies. Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah,
but it's never. I don't know what the zombies are doing out in the wilderness, roaming about. They're just waiting for people to fight with.
No. So the bucktooth miracle fighters character.
Yeah.
Is
Master T. Master T pities the fool that can't raise the dead.
No, but he's raising the dead to fight Elton Chong so he can train, so he can be better at kung fu. That's the whole thing.
And he's doing a Mr. Miyagi thing where he's making him like do various chores that will also lead him to be stronger or more agile.
Yeah.
You know, like punching nails into coffins or just swinging coffins around and being very Django-like. Again, there's like lots of fucking.
Here's an interesting thing. That, which I think is one of the best bits in Zodiac America, the Supermaster, the training scenes where he has to load a coffin full of rocks.
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. That's not in the Korean version. Or
none of the good shit is in any of the Korean versions of anything.
Or it's not in the 88. I mean, there might be a longer version again that they used as the master.
Yeah.
Because so I compared the two side by side, right? And I discounted the ninja, because the thing with the ninja stuff is you see something in the original footage, and then a ninja turns up to tell you exactly what you've just seen, except ascribing strange names. Oh, did you hear that Susan and Brian got killed in the scene that we just saw? Oh, that's terrible. What are we going to do now? Well, I'm going to send Nigel and Bongo or something, and then cut back to the... yeah. And sometimes they have a bit of a fight. But so...
which conveniently is a great fight where somebody turns around and there's a sword attached to a tree that he's able to conveniently unsheath and use. You know, that's always... But
I was watching the two, and it's difficult to tell it, but I was taking notes because they totally fuck up the order as well. So the order of scenes in the Korean version is totally different from the one in the IFD version.
I did notice that from watching the first half.
So watching so things that don't turn up, oddly enough, at least in the 88-minute Korean version, I'm assuming there might be a longer version, so another version again, is you don't get the training scenes. You don't get the bit where Elton John figures out he can use a coffin as a sledge.
Really?
Yeah, that's not in there. And there's the whole stuff where he shaves off Master P's mustache and beard.
Yeah,
that's so fucking... That's not... That is so fucking weird.
Yeah,
because it's a fucking Korean cast. It's a film that's made in fucking Korea.
Yeah, no, but what's more interesting to me is that means must be an even longer Korean version that they use.
What's in it then? Version from. So with the ninjas taken out and the training stuff and that gone, what replaces all of that?
Well, hang on, there's no ninjas in the Korean version.
Well,
there is
not much. It's just bits and pieces, little extensions of scenes here and there. Because there's not that. If you actually add up all the ninja footage, it probably only adds up to about 5 minutes. There's not that much of it, and plus as well as the frame rate difference, so it runs. Yeah, it's difficult to tell. It's because the Korean version we watched, the quality is really shit. And the IFD one is much more colourful. Although, oddly enough, there's one scene where I think it's supposed to be set at night, and they're doing a day for night, I think. But in the IFD version, it just looks like day. At least in the shit quality Korean version, they get away with it looking like night because the screen's so dark. The other thing I wanted to mention is there's a bit where the girl who he rescues, the love interest girl, gives him I'm not sure which, I think this might be in both versions. After he rescues her, she gifts him a boiled egg. And rather than the boiled egg, he rubs the boiled egg on his eye and then throws it away. What's that all about then? I don't understand that.
Well, funny enough, there was boiled eggs. There was boiled eggs in Dead and the Deadly, weren't there?
Another Dead and the Dead. Well, that is a thing you see in. It's something to do with trapping a spirit.
So
maybe he had bad luck or something.
Yeah.
Another thing that's in Dead and the Deadly and is in this film very, very briefly. Elton John disguises himself as a paper doll.
Yes,
and the girl does, and they do.
But that is a good fucking sequence.
That is a good sequence, but it also makes no sense because they disguise themselves as paper dolls to get into the place, right?
Yeah.
Immediately drop the disguise.
Yeah.
And admit that they're not paper dolls. But then act like paper dolls for no reason at all. They're not paper dolls, but they just pretend to be paper dolls.
Yeah. But on top of that, the funeral that they're at is a fake funeral anyway. So they're pretending to be at a funeral, pretending to be dolls for a funeral for someone who's pretended to be dead so that he can fight them and kill them because they're the last vestiges of whatever the fuck he's trying to eradicate. And it's just so convoluted. However, as far as Elton John joints go, this is one of the best ones out there because Eagle Hands.
It's got good action.
Eagle Hands cut in the mustard. It's got good spooky stuff as well, though, because there's, you know, in certainly the English ninja version, there's a lot of fucking hopping vampires in this. There's a lot of raising the dead and fighting the dead and bits in the hut or the cave or wherever he's at.
Eagle Hand's not in this film.
Sorry, Mike Wong. Apologies,
Yes,
sorry, Mike Wong. Sorry.
Mike Wong, interestingly, as well, Mike
Yeah.
Wong, learning more about what Mike Wong slowly over the years, he's the guy who also directed, you can also find it on YouTube, and I think it's got subtitles now as well. There's a surprisingly good, or take that back, surprisingly faithful to a point, Korean unlicensed version of Dragon Ball.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Which is worth a look.
So
It's there's a giant robot in it. That's not in Dragon Ball, but apart from the giant robot.
But what's Mike Wong got to do with it? He directed it.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell!
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, it's worth a look.
Yeah.
It's better than it's closer to the source than the other Taiwanese than other Dragon Ball magic begins.
Yeah.
And we won't even talk about that Hollywood thing because that was just
I didn't see it. I didn't see that.
Any Elton John film is better than that.
Yes.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that if you take Elton John out the mix, no, actually don't take Elton John out the mix, but just as a package with the silly ninja, with the silly Barry ninjas and Elton John and Mike Wong and all the supernatural shenanigans and the lovely temple locations and stuff at the end with the funeral and that. This turns out to be a pretty fucking mad film.
It is, and it's quite well done.
I thoroughly enjoyed it because I hadn't seen it before.
Again, I would love to see a properly restored version. Probably never going to happen. But also, who's that weird dude with a strange shaped head at the end? Is he a priest? Because it's a wedding. It ends with like a wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
But it's not just me, right? His head isn't right, is it? It's all weird.
No.
And a bit squished.
Yeah.
And who was the guy that he kept getting in scraps with? Like, who was just kind of like
the big guy? Yeah, I don't know. That's what I couldn't figure out either.
Like it seemed like he just early on in the movie accidentally like threw something onto him because the guy was sleeping in a haystack.
He threw a coffin on him while he was sleeping.
And then the rest of the movie, he was like, "I'm gonna fuck you up."
But it was obviously not a real tree. It was like some branches strapped together and him. Yeah. So also worth mentioning, one of my favorite lines of dialogue in this film is, I've never seen anybody shit like that before. Then again, I've never watched anyone shit. I think there's a lot you can learn because it's philosophical, right? It's like, first time you see something totally devoid of context, it is the strangest thing, but you know. So, and also this, fuck you! Very impolite.
Yes, and also Master Chi does have that incredible device in his like little Undertaker's cart where he can lie back and then pour drinks into his mouth.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Darren, it's interesting. He's a mashup of Miracle Fighters and Sam the Seed, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's a dirty old man, but he's also Miracle Fighters.
Actually, speaking of Dragon Ball, he's not a million miles off that little character in Dragon Ball as well, actually.
You're right. But I still want to know why he's got all these big chunks shaved out of his head that kind of match all of the Undertakers. Is this an Undertaker thing? Or Undertakers in Korea and China known to just like take No,
I think that's I want to guess that's just like
the mange?
A silly sausage haircut.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like this is just a silly haircut.
Okay.
And that's how you know a character's silly, is because
he's got the worst.
And also, I think that you actually have to do that to your own head, right? You have to actually take like a what you call them, not a shaver, you know, one of those clippers, and actually like physically like stupid cut your hair. to do
Or
that
it
role.
might be Elton John, who seems to have never had a decent haircut in any of his films ever, apart from when he's bald. Maybe he's got it on his rider. All right. Everyone else is going to have a stupid haircut.
Or possibly it was that particular actor saying, right, come on now, Elton, it's time for you to get a haircut. And then they had a fight with the clippers.
Hair clippers.
And,
that's what we see in the movie.
And because Elton John is actually quite hard, he actually won the fight, and that's how that occurred.
The Vampire Dominator. 1984, Taiwan. I think I'll let someone else try and do this one.
You prick.
You're up, Nick.
Oh, good. Okay.
He's useful, Nick, for these things.
It opens up with the usual conga line of hopping vampires. They're being led by a dude who, for most of the movie, wears like a Russian fur hat and sunglasses.
I was wondering if they were somewhere cold. Because both him, that's Alan Liu and Liu Chafen, they both wear furry hats and warm stuff. So I was wondering if they were supposed to be in a cold place or not.
Maybe they're like llamas or something. Maybe that tells you they're llamas and not, Taoists or something.
As you can see, we're already struggling.
Yeah, who knows? Anyway, they appear to be corpse herders.
Another thing I wanted to say about, because this is actually a good, potentially a good point. So if you look on the Hong Kong Movie Database, they specifically mention 2 languages in this film. They mention Mandarin and Hokkien. So Hokkien is like it's the other big indigenous Taiwanese Hokkien or Taiwanese, right?
Okay.
Now I don't know enough about, but I'm wondering, because you don't always see. So clearly in the original film, at some point, some character speaks Hokkien as opposed to Mandarin. So I'm just wondering if the furry hat means they come from a cold part, and that cold part is normally associated with Hokkien as opposed to Mandarin or something like that. So I just thought
that works
as well. Yeah. I was just wondering, because this is all going to be about us trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. So that's a potential clue or a total red herring.
Yeah.
Carry on, Nick.
They are corpse herders of some kind. They've got a bunch of corpses they're herding. At the beginning, I assumed it was another period piece, and then it took me a while to realize, oh, hang on, this is taking place in contemporary times. So
that's a flashback or something.
Well, okay. It's the disco times, isn't it?
It's disco.
Oh yes, It's not contemporary time. It is leg warmers. It's leg warmers and leotards. For sure.
It's
hopping vampires as well are mummies in this.
Well, they got shrouds on, right? Which I think is a plot point, maybe.
Yes, I think that might be as well.
Because then basically two of their hopping vampires kind of go AWOL on them, right?
Well, no, I thought they were possessed by like wandering spirits, because there's like these fireball things floating about, isn't there?
Okay.
And I thought, because they're going like past the swamp or something, aren't they? And there's like these fireballs, and I thought 2 of the fireballs went into 2 of them. That's what I thought happened.
Okay. And this is why I wasn't sure if there might be a time jump as well. So you could be right. It could be period stuff at the very beginning, because they keep them in they're transporting them, and they put them in some sort of storage facility overnight, right? And Fan Cheng, his job seems to be to be a security guard for these, and then at a certain point he has to wake up in the middle of the night because he's got his little alarm clock, and he's a disgruntled employee, isn't he?
He says, "Don't blame me. I sing for you now," and he sucks. So I did blame him. His singing is
something happens in the middle of the night, And for whatever reason, yeah, either two of the corpses are the possessed, or the corpses escape and possess someone, or they go into, I don't know. No one knows. The only thing we know is they manifest as, well, one becomes Juliet Chen, right? Who's the sexy leotard dancing. She's from the original Source film that became Scorpion Thunderbolt as well, which is one of the best IFD mashups. But yeah, so and then the other one becomes Tatua Ma, right? Who Ma Sha, who was a huge, seems to have been a massive Taiwanese film star of this period. And a whole bunch of his films have been also turned into IFD mashups.
He does some nice Bride of Reanimator flying head stuff in this.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of, I'm jumping ahead, but there's a lot of special effects heavy, spooky goings on in this film. I've been trying to work out if it's the quality of the version we're watching, as in print quality.
Terrible.
Yeah, which is really bad. Yeah. Or if it's actually just a bit shit.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell.
I can't work it out. Yeah.
Because I was wondering that as well. Like, if I could totally actually understand what was going on in this film and see it, would it be any better?
Because there's a lot. Because the thing is, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of action, and there's a lot of spooky stuff. There's laser beams. There's a fire-breathing fucking snake headdress.
Oh yeah,
there's
a fucking
spider things, or these spiders turn into
straight out of blood. No, those things are straight out of Edge of Hell, right? Those are those little jelly, you know, things that Thor has to like.
The starfish things.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
So I can follow that to a certain extent, that there's these two things out there. They kind of catch Tatua Ma first, and then Julia Chen's character seems to be a bit more elusive, and she becomes a hit on the modeling stroke aerobic stroke disco scene of mid-80s. Well, so here's the other thing as well. This may seem like a bit of a stretch. I'm wondering, some of these scenes in this film, the timing is a little tight, but I'm wondering if Ninja 3 The Domination.
Oh, okay.
I see it with the female lead.
Because there's another film from Indonesia from the same year called Revenge of Ninja, which I suspect was inspired by Ninja 3 The Domination as well. So if there's one, there could be two. Also worth mentioning, speaking the Indonesian connection, I think the version we're watching on YouTube is from an Indonesian VHS as well, isn't it? And someone's put English subtitles on it.
Yeah, because there's about 3 different subs on there, isn't there?
Yeah, and before being transferred to YouTube, someone's filmed it down a drain pipe from a moldy old VHS, and and
someone's basically projected it out of Wumar's arsehole.
Right.
From the Dead and the Deadly.
Yes, here's a note if he's not careful, I'll tell you.
Here's a note that just says, "This print is making me hate Clive a little bit." The shit subs and the constant jittering.
It's worth seeing.
It is the best version out there, as far as I can tell, as well. So there's that. Yeah, there's an awful lot going. There's an awful lot going on.
Yeah, no, there's too much happening, and so I mean, so our I think they're a brother and sister, right? Our fur hat Ghostbuster team up, but then they have to go to a third guy whose name appears to be like Yen Yan Ying or something bizarre, or like
this is the Exorcist guy played by
the Exorcist guy who's kind of and he's kind of the comedy one of the trio, right? And he's got an eye that if he like takes away his depth perception, he can suddenly see ghosts instead of the other.
Yes, my left eye.
And all I ever saw him do in this film was there's a lumpy wall
Yeah,
There's a
the bit of
lumpy
blood.
Yeah, and he put the little talisman on it, and that's it. That's there it is. And that's the you know
Part
what?
of your repertoire now, isn't it? That
Right. Next time I'm gonna one up Nick and I'm gonna wear my Taoist robes.
Please do.
Yeah, they're not really Taoist
You have a wooden
robes.
sword that you can
I have actually got a wooden sword, but it's the wrong shape.
Okay.
But,
and the Taoist robes aren't really Taoist robes, but they are yellow and have a yin yang on them.
so the other element as well to this is something to do with the Tatua Ma character. It seems to me that either the person is possessed or the person he was, because there's also some, because you only get snatches of the subtitles. Something about maybe one of the characters committed suicide or something as well, right? Which might have also something to do with why they're not resting. But then there's also
I thought they were star-crossed lovers, that the mafia or somebody or some gangster dude.
Yeah, well, there's a gangster. Well, there's definitely a gangster. So Wang Xie is in it, and he's definitely playing like a gangster Don character.
Yeah.
So there's a gangster element. I'm guessing the Tatua Ma is such a fantastically incongruous English. What shall I choose as my English name? Peter, Ira, like that ninja, Bert. No, I shall go for that popular English name, Tatua.
Tatua.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so there's something to do with him being a former gangster or owing gangsters when your gangsters killed him or something.
Yeah, because the ghosts seem to be targeting like some gang, right? Like they're offering a bunch of kind of like middle-aged, chubby, mustachioed dudes are getting offed over. And then I do like the fact that our heroes constantly show up too late to do anything. Like the entire movie is getting there after somebody's been fuck.
What I really like about this film, or one of the bits I really like about this film, is that there's a gangster boss in it, isn't there?
That's Wang Xie.
And it's Wang Xie. And he's got like a daughter or a niece or something that's pregnant by someone else, and that's a thing, right? But at one point, as this starts to culminate, he squares off against the ghosts with a shotgun.
Yes.
And it's just him in a field with some ghosts and a shotgun. And it looks like actually he might win at one point. He might actually manage to shoot some fucking ghosts.
Very strange music in this film as well. You got Morricone's The Thing soundtrack.
Yeah,
but also other Morricone as well.
Yeah, a bit of Psycho.
Psycho's in there, yeah.
And then something which I guess is original to the film or from some music library or something, which is almost Lalo Schifrin's Enter the Dragon soundtrack, but doesn't quite go there. That's over some of the aerobic scenes I quite enjoyed.
Yeah.
And
it's like edging Enter the Dragon, isn't it? Edging.
Yeah, and I reckon Ninja. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say Ninja 3: The Domination is somewhere in the DNA of this film.
DNA of this, yeah.
Directed by
I don't know.
Chester Huang, who the same year as this directed some kind of thriller called Butcher with Chen Quan-tai, which looks kind of interesting. And also, I suppose we know him best for his Kung Fu films, right? He did My Life's on the Line, Kung Fu of Sam.
Yeah.
And Horse Boxing Killer with Hilda Liu.
Yeah. But also, what I hadn't realised until I looked him up was he's assistant director on a fucking shitload of really good Wang Yu films.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's on like Return of the Chinese Boxer, For Real Friends, When I'm Swords Men. So he's on all the batshit Wang Yu films.
Right. And not to bury the lead, he chose the name Chester, which is brilliant.
Great. Yeah.
That's even more traditional, but better than Tatua.
True. Yeah.
Well, it's a name.
Yeah, it's actually a proper word.
Yeah.
It's not even a tattooer is a tattooer. He's a tattooist.
Oh. Exactly. No, I did notice that this is interesting. This has a ghost woman who maybe was a hopping vampire before, bite somebody in the neck. And I was like, well, this is a bit of a meeting of our vampire types.
Yeah, we still don't quite know, do we? Vampire, zombie, ghost.
Yeah.
No.
I wonder if they know. I'm starting to wonder if they know.
Yeah. But what the other thing I quite liked about this, and by the way, I'm kind of the opinion I don't like this film.
Yes, that seems fair to me.
Yeah, I'm on the I don't like this film, but I
you
kind
read
of
properly out for me, but
but I respect this film for doing what it was doing and introducing all of these fucking elements, right? So at a certain point, it goes a bit mystical and like Shaolin or Taoist or whatever, and they go to the temple and meet the 101-year-old priestess.
Lady. Yeah.
And then there's a fucking magic laser beam battle. And then the young lady or the old lady who looks young gets old. And then they get defeated. And then they go to the disco dance club. That's
aerobics. Studio.
But now it's a cave.
Yes.
So it's turned into a cave, and then it's all about the laser beams, the headdress that suddenly pops out of her head and starts breathing fire. I can't mention that enough. I love that bit.
Early in the movie, she does a Wonder Woman thing where she puts her hands over her head, spins around really fast, and makes a column of energy that she can't be hurt through.
There's a lot of good stuff in here, and I reckon if you could see it properly, I know what you mean, Darren. I suspect it's probably rubbish, but I couldn't say I would really. Again, this would be top of the list actually for a restoration, just because this is the best version as far as I know. That's about. I don't know. It looks like it. Yeah, I don't know of a Laserdisc or certainly not a DVD or. So yeah, if anyone like what's that new company, Error 44444 or something, this seems like their territory. But again, who knows if there's elements or if this one is just lost.
But also but the thing is as well is that like it's like so much is thrown at the wall. So much spaghetti is thrown at the wall to see if it sticks in this film that you wonder if it might actually just be shit. Because
yes, but I see both of your points. It's funny. My last note, it kind of speaks to you, Clive. It just says, "Jesus, can you actually say you've watched a film where the print is this poor? Like, can I say yes? I have watched." Ninja, or not Ninja Dominator, but Vampire Dominator. I don't know if I can, but at the same point,
not only a film, then a philosophical exercise. Also, the domination thing is another thing to back up my.
Okay, yeah.
Although I've noticed some people have called it the vampire denominator, which
that's a fractional.
I think must just be a mistake. Although it would be good if this film was actually supposed to be called the vampire denominator. But I mean, spaghetti or shit, you be the judge.
Yeah, because it's got a lot going for it, but I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I didn't love it much either.
A frustrating experience.
Yeah,
no, absolutely top of the list. Just not necessarily because it'll be the best film, but just, I mean, I see a lot of things in shit quality, but very rarely is the quality so shit. Like, I'm not going to write anything about this film because I think
you haven't seen it. I also haven't seen it.
Exactly.
I experienced it in some way, but I don't think I saw.
I don't know. I disagree. I think we have seen the film. and I think you actually should write a review of it.
No,
Because I
I
think
don't have
we saw
confidence.
enough.
I don't have confidence.
No.
I really think we missed more than we got.
No, I disagree with you, because I think that I vaguely understood what was going on. It's just that it's really crap picture quality, and also for our audience that are listening to this, if they go and grab it, then it's almost as if we're saying, well, this is an enigma that's really unwatchable, you know, which it kind of isn't. You know, it's
Well, the jury's
not.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I don't think I'm gonna watch a cleaned up print of this and be like, oh, this is a great film, because no, it's not
great. It's not great, but we don't have to go that far. That's a bit of a straw man argument, right? But I think it's definitely. I would love to see it properly in a, just to actually just understand what's going on, and I can see it nudging over. I can see it nudging into Ghost Story of Campi Mui territory, where it's not a good film, but it's got enough of the right ingredient. Because you have to remember, being engaged in a film carries it a long way, right? So at least if we're following the story, even if there's nothing that good happening, like for instance, a really good film, like I was talking to someone who watched the film version of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, right? And English not being their first language. And they just found it boring. And I understand, because it's mostly people talking, right? But if you're clued in, it's actually a really good film. So I think if this film is pulling you along just enough, just because you know what's happening, and then you're hit with the cool stuff, I reckon it might cross the line from shit into good. Even though I take your point, I also wouldn't be surprised if it just stayed crap as well.
Yeah.